The roses all have left your cheek. I've watched them fade and die. Your voice is sad whene'er you speak, and tears bedim your beady eyes. Oh, I won't take you back, Kathleen. I hope you grieve and suffer in pain. And when the fields are fresh and green, I'll send you home again. Hello and welcome to the show. In case you were a little confused by the intro music and why I'm singing a very strange version of Kathleen, the famous ballad. Well, I hope that you have by now seen the Doomcock video. That's probably what we're going to be talking about a great deal tonight. But first, let me welcome you all here. Welcome to the weekend. Let us celebrate. Even when it's been a brutal week, we still can celebrate some time away from work, some time away from our troubles, and some time together as friends. Speaking of friends, let me go ahead and introduce my usual partner in crime, Aged Boomer. Aged Boomer, how are you doing this fine Friday?
Doing very well. I didn't know who you were serenading there for a minute, and
Yeah. Yeah, I whipped together those lyrics, those slightly altered lyrics on the fly, and I don't know, maybe I was a little brutal, but let's face it, we all are feeling pretty strongly about a Miss Kathleen at this juncture, right? So, yeah,
well,
I'm.
look,
But how was your week, my friend?
fine, very busy. Actually, tomorrow I didn't get much done. Actually, I was kind of less like I was recuperating. But no, what did I do? Oh no, I mowed the lawn yesterday, so I did do that.
Oh, that's awesome.
Exciting, isn't
That's
it?
good.
Okay.
Yeah, I pay somebody to do that.
Yeah, yeah, that makes sense. But no, I had I put together. I'm so late on doing these stinking clip videos for Geeky Geezers, but I did get the one. I think I finally got the one done from a few weeks ago. We were talking about the situation over at Warner Brothers with I'm blanking on her name right now. The woman that runs the Warner CEO over there, the one who I think
Oh yeah, I
is the
forget her
Warner
name
Brothers
too.
version
Actually, yeah.
of Kathleen Kennedy, and I actually I thought I wouldn't be able to do it, but I got it down to 15 minutes, so that's not bad. So that's up on YouTube and on Rumble for anyone who's interested. If you want to get we had theories that what's going on at Lucasfilm we have similar things going on at Warner Brothers. We'll probably be seeing similar things going on at other movie studios. I'm waiting for the shoe to drop as far as Universal Studios goes, but they've been very quiet as of late. But yeah.
Yep. Well, although the first name that let me just go ahead and welcome the chat. The first name that that is currently showing, of course, is Sir Torrin Clegane. I've been chatting with him a little bit, but the actual first name who isn't showing up in the history is, of course, the first in my life, Netter of Netter's Network. Hey there, Netter, how you doing? Netter, I did send you a link if you want to hang out backstage so that you can hear me without the delay. By all means, join us. And in, of course, no particular order, we also have Zetopia. He is rebranded as just Zetopia. Wolf 10 Media. How you doing? Ow. Trooper FN 2525 and Mr. Matchstick. So glad to see you all here today. Hope you guys are all doing well. I hope you have had a good week. And you know what? Let's go ahead and
I don't know that one.
I'm sorry to hear that, Alexa, but thank you for joining us tonight.
Oh, is Alexa joining us for the stream?
I don't know that one.
Apparently she doesn't know that one, so maybe not. Thank you, Alexa. And she just hung up.
Okay, well, okay. Are you always that polite to Alexa?
I am. And you know why I am? Let me tell you why. First season of Star Trek. Maybe it was the second season. There was an engineer character that was introduced when Geordi took over. So yeah, it had to be second season. I think her name was Sonia Gomez, something like that. And she was one of those really positive, upbeat, fresh face type characters. She was meant to be one of those one of those audience insert characters. You can kind of see things through her eyes.
Right.
She didn't end up going anywhere. They didn't develop her the way they should have. It's a shame because I really, really liked the potential of that character. She talked to the ship's computer that way, and she said, please and thank you and have a nice day and stuff like
Was she
that.
the one in the first episode with the Borg? Or no?
I don't think so. She was the one that spilled coffee on Picard.
She was in the first episode of the Borg, the Q one.
Was she?
Okay.
Okay.
Yes.
So, Geordi comments to her on that, and she says, and I'm of course paraphrasing because I haven't memorized every single episode of Star Trek, believe it or not. She says something about how technology can be so dehumanizing. And it's her conviction that she's always going to speak to computers the way she would speak to a human being, And of course, that's set in a world where you have someone like Data, right? Who actually is a sentient life form who happens to be a computer. So, I really like that. I love that whole idea. So I've ever since then gone out of my way to try to be as polite to inanimate objects as I would be to a fellow human being. If I back up into a coat rack, I'll say, excuse me. And people think that's funny, but it's really just, in a way, me honing my personality so that is always my first reaction, whether it's, a person, that I know, somebody I don't know, somebody I don't like, an inanimate object, whatever,
So if you went to Westworld, you'd wear the white hat and not the black hat.
Ooh, yeah, probably. I probably would. Yeah, you're absolutely right. And wow, that first season of that show, what great potential that show had. I feel kind of bad that it went the way that it did. It kind of fell apart.
Saying hello to everybody.
Did I not say hello to everyone? I thought I said hi to Matchstick Trooper.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, I said hi to everybody. Okay. Yeah, I think I said hi to everybody. Yeah. So I dropped the link in the stream. Not that he needs my help, but he does put out good content, and it's what I'm going to be referring to tonight. So, of course, if you have not checked out Doomcock's video, it's what we're going to be talking about. It's not absolutely necessary you go and listen to it right now. I'm only leaving it there to keep myself honest. If I misrepresent anything, you can always go back and check it and go, yeah, Troy didn't know what he was talking about, or he misinterpreted something or whatever.
I may need you to inform me because I watched the 2-parter one he did this week. But did he do another one after that?
He dropped another one today. And
I'm sorry. I got confused. I thought that was okay. Yeah.
He dropped one today while Midnight's Edge was live.
Oh,
and
okay.
I swear to you, Kamran Pasha was on and had literally, without any knowledge of what, no firsthand knowledge of what Doomcock was commenting on, he was predicting exactly what Doomcock ended up saying he got as rumors from multiple reliable sources. Okay, so for those of you who, like my co-host here tonight, who don't know and haven't seen the Doomcock video because you were working today, you were busy, you were being productive members of society, as we all should be. Doomcock has dropped a video saying that he has received from multiple sources that Kathleen Kennedy is, in fact, on her way out, that a lot of the things that have been happening in the past couple weeks tie directly to that, and he explains how and why. And I suspect, although he didn't get into the specifics of it, it's not like today. It's like her contract will not be renewed as it was last time.
Okay, so when is her contract up for renewal?
I had heard that it was up in November. However, what is going into effect immediately is that, and again, this is all unsubstantiated, as reliable as we all believe it to be, and as reliable as Doomcock believes it to be. It's not based on firsthand knowledge, so there's no way to know for sure. I like I said, though, I did think it was ironic that literally Kamran Pasha said, "This is what I expect to happen," and then boom, this video drops from Doomcock confirming exactly what Kamran was predicting. So we've seen in the past week, and unfortunately, I'm going to probably be stepping over a lot of things we were going to talk about on Sunday, but we do need to reevaluate some of what we're talking about on Sunday in view of this. So the big news this week in Star Wars is this push for a J.J. Abrams cut, and everybody laughed. Because why? Because obviously this is just, reaction to the Snyder cut. And, where's this coming from? And is this really a road that Disney wants to go down?
Well, my first thought that popped in my head when I heard that is an Abrams cut. What did I see on the big screen?
Oh, no. There is no way you saw an Abrams cut. I mean, even from the pre rise of Palpatine, rumors that we heard, there were multiple cuts of the movie.
I know there were,
all of
but
them were cut down from larger films. But yeah, he there were a lot of things that he wanted to do, things that were in other cuts, not specifically his, other treatments that they wanted to do that he was overridden on. Let's face it. We'll never know all the details, but there is, if you want to boil down the problems with all of our favorite franchises, Star Wars, Star Trek, all of them, okay? Warner Brothers with the superheroes and stuff. It is as much about studio meddling as it is, the social justice, themes from the writers and directors. It really is.
Too many cooks in the kitchen.
Too many. Exactly. Let's face it. Our favorite franchises were great because nobody believed in them, so nobody bothered with them. Star Wars, Star Trek. Think about how those things started. These were kind of independent, goofballs from outside that had an idea that wanted to do something. Nobody wanted it. Someone said, I'll take a chance on it because I got an open slot, you know? And they became these huge mega hits. Okay. And when you try to reproduce that artificially, you get crap, So that's what ends up happening. And this is why we have groups like, the Fixing the DC Universe cinematic, DC cinematic universe, and whatnot. And we go, look, I mean, it's not for nothing that every franchise, the fans always say, just be faithful to the source material. Why? That's why we're fans, because of the source material. If you are going to take something and translate it to another medium, only change the things that are medium specific. And I'll be honest with you, this is where Snyder shines, because he took Watchmen, translated it to the big screen, and the things he changed were things that needed to be changed because of the medium he was presenting it in. And it was actually pretty good. Yeah, I could quibble about some minor things that he took license with that I didn't think were necessary, that I think, weren't as good as the original. But by and large, he did a great job with that.
I prefer the giant squid.
You're
That's
crazy.
right. What you sipping on?
Oh, that's right. I forgot. I am sipping on. She says that because she was there when I made it. I said I was going to have a blueberry daiquiri. Thanks to Big Al and the UHF rewatch on Saturday, I kind of had a taste for one, but didn't have as many blueberries as I thought I did. So I'm having a blue raspberry daiquiri, a mixture of blueberry and raspberry. And I'll tell you, put it into my Klingon cup just because it was a big enough glass. And I'm looking at it. It kind of looks like blood wine. I might have a new formulation for blood wine. It's actually really, really yummy. And even Annette's having some too. So I'm wondering if based on that, maybe I should, although I've mentioned it twice before on other streams, for the sake of the people that are here, who, if there's anyone who hasn't heard the story yet, maybe I should speak to last week. And one more time, apologize to Wolf 10 Media for not really participating in his rewatch of Van Helsing last week. I committed some tragic errors last Friday in my drinking. I am not as experienced as the critical drinker with my alcohol. And I made a couple critical errors last week. Last week, thought I was being clever by taking a nap before the live stream. That resulted in me being wide-eyed, but also on an empty stomach as I went into the live stream. And also, I made a shift from bargain basement booze to good top shelf stuff. So I got rid of all of my what would you call it? Booze in the plastic bottles that you get from the bottom shelf. And last week I was sipping on Jameson. Never had Jameson before. Jameson is actually quite tasty and very, 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 very smooth. It goes down so easy, and it went down very quickly. So I had drunk a whole glass of Jameson in that hour on an empty stomach.
I want some Jameson now.
Right? Oh my gosh, it's great.
Yeah, come over, right?
Yeah.
We have a fully
You're
stocked bar.
going to come up from Florida, right? It's a little chilly here, so pack a sweater.
It's chilly. It's April.
It's Chicago in
It's
April.
Illinois.
Yeah. Keep in mind that we're about on the same latitude as Minneapolis, and Prince was the one who sang "Sometimes It Snows in April." So yeah. So anyway, I by the time we went into finished up my stream, and that's still out there. 1 hour over on my stream, you and I were talking about we were talking about geeky stuff as we had anticipated, with the expectation we were going to go over to Wolf 10 Media stream. By the time I got over there, I remember the beginning of the stream. I remember the black and white intro to the movie, and I don't remember fuck all after that.
Well,
I just nothing.
I'm going to tell you, I did the rewatch with them, and now I actually have I've now come to the conclusion that Van Helsing's brilliant, and I want a straight up remake of it for this new Dark Universe. I'm kidding, of course. I'm sorry, I'm being mean. Wolfton's listening. People love it or hate it. It's good looking. Okay. Maybe too much CG.
Yeah.
Especially with the vampire fights over and over and over again with the vampire.
My intent was to not pick it apart too much for the CG. I was joking in the group. I drew a comparison to the whole Henry Cavill mustache cover up. But in fairness, I've always said I can forgive bad special effects. I can even forgive bad casting and bad acting if the story's good. I just don't remember the story being good, and I don't remember last week at all. So I've already gotten the rebuke from Aged Boomer because he was like, "You left me all alone," and I was like, "Troy, where are you?"
No, there was one part I think where they wouldn't say they were ganging up on me, Ryan. I was trying to remember. I was like, Troy, it's like. Though that last scene, though, I got to tell you, because I guess she dies by accident or because he's the beast or whatever and kills her, and then but then she goes to heaven and sees her family, and you see her face in the clouds, and I'm like, really?
Oh god,
really?
Oh god,
did we need this part? I don't think so.
Yeah, you know what? That's the funny thing too. They try to. You need to commit on your ending, okay? If you're gonna have a tragic ending, just be tragic. Just do it. Just don't shy away from it, okay? When Blake 7 ended their series and all the heroes get killed, that's just how it ended, with silent credits and the sounds of laser blasts, and the bad guys win. That's just how it goes, right?
No, we
don't see a scene of them going up to heaven.
We need to see them going to the afterlife, and then the bad guys they do something whatever. Karma gets them, and their ship blows up or something. Some
Boomer, have you seen a movie called Penn and Teller Get Killed?
No, is that any good?
Gosh. It's great. I mean, if you like Penn and Teller,
I saw a VHS tape they put out. Cruel Tricks for Dear Friends. They did a VHS tape, but for that was pretty neat back in the day. But anyway,
did that involve a shenanigans where they were going through TSA and they're trying to get through the metal detector, and they're messing with each other with the ball bearing?
I don't remember. It was about using your videotape to trick your friends. There were different pranks on the actual tape.
Oh, that's interesting. I hadn't heard about that.
One was getting this thing to put on your on your glass cleaner and put a thing on there so static free for TV screens. Look, I got this new glass cleaner, and then you spray your TV, and as you do it, the screen, everything in the screen becomes nasty and fuzzy and all distorted looking, and it looks that way for several minutes, right? Yeah. And it's supposed to be oh, I thought this was supposed to clean the TV, I destroyed it, or maybe you bring it over to a friend's house and try and say, oh, I'm cleaning your TV. And they said, now this doesn't get you money or anything, but money isn't everything, okay?
Right.
This just makes your friend look stupid, but that can be enough.
Well, you get their basic idea, right? You also know if you're fans of Penn and Teller, Penn Jillette is an atheist. He doesn't believe, in an afterlife and anything, but he's always open to debunking, fakers and stuff like that. So he does the whole Halloween, seance thing. And, if anyone's pulling any shenanigans, he'll point them out on that. He's a big one on that. He's very much in that whole Houdini tradition, right?
Right.
This film, it's absolutely without a doubt a black comedy, right? It's called Penn and Teller Get Killed. And it's ostensibly a story about them, obviously fictionalized because they get killed at the end of the movie, right?
Spoilers.
Well, it's funny because at the very end he goes, "What did you expect? The name of the movie was Penn and Teller Get Killed." We were kind of committed to that from the beginning, What it is through the whole thing, it's great because they're playing pranks on each other. There's this one gag that they've done previously to this, but it was very popularized by this movie. They're at the airport and they're going through the metal detector, and Teller is messing with Penn using sleight of hand and a ball bearing. So he does this thing where every time he goes through, he drops the ball bearing into his pocket surreptitiously. He goes through, he gets beeped, he comes back, takes it out. They wand him. Everything's fine. He drops in his pocket again. He walks through, beep. and it gets progressively more and more clever, as you would expect, with their sleight of hand jokes, because eventually he's going through and he just rolls it across the floor to go through as he does, and he's literally taking off clothes as he's going through. He's going, "Oh, son of a bitch!" and he's taking off his belt, taking off his pants. He goes, "I'm taking off anything there is to take off."
I think I might have seen that. Now it's sounding familiar to me, that what you're talking about.
Yeah.
It's not from that tape I had, though. It's from something else.
No.
Yeah.
It's Penn and Teller get killed. What I was leading up to, though, is at the very end, and that's right. This is technically a spoiler, but it's not about the story. It's about the gags throughout the movie. The very end, they end up, the jokes escalate. The practical jokes escalate to the point where it ends up being fatal at the end. And I mean, to the point where one feels so bad about the other one's death that he kills himself. And the girlfriend is like, "I'm going to be blamed for this. My life is over." She kills herself. And then literally the camera's panning away from the apartment or whatever room they're in or whatever. And as other people show up, you hear them kill themselves too, shoot a gun or whatever. And it's just darkly comedic, right?
Right.
And as it's pulling away, you see the city, you see the clouds, you see the earth. And as it's pulling away, it goes, you hear, of course, Penn's voiceover go, "Well, that's it. That's our film. Penn and Teller get killed. Thank you so much for joining us on in our first cinematic foray or whatever. And by the way, this is how it ends. This is we called it Penn and Teller get killed. We were committed to this from the beginning. So Penn and Teller are killed in this movie, and that's how this movie ends. And if you think this pan back from into the sky is us going up to heaven or something like that, you can forget about that, because in every major religion of the world, suicide precludes you going to the good place. So that's not what's happening here. So there's no happy ending here. Don't even look for it. And in and of itself, as he's saying this, you're still laughing, because you're like, obviously I see what they're doing here. It's a shtick, But so that's Penn and Teller get killed. I guess I'm gonna have to do a rewatch of that some night, see if it's playing anywhere that everyone can see it. But Wolfie is he's
contesting.
He's saying you're only getting half the story.
Probably you should listen to the stream.
I will.
But what was I gonna say? I'm trying to think what I said toward the end. I don't think they were fine. They were fine. They treated me fine. They weren't leaping they weren't laughing on abuse or nothing. Yeah, I think they were agreeing me with some of the final acts. They didn't. I remember they didn't like Wolf 10 and who was on last week with us? It was the guy you do a stream with. What's his name?
Matt Flynn.
Matt Flynn. Yeah. And we were let's see. We were they thought how the Kate Beckinsale character died was pretty cheap.
I honestly, because I don't remember last week, and I don't remember it, the original time that I saw the film. I didn't even remember that she died. So
I know she didn't make it toward the end. I didn't remember how she died, though. That's what I remembered, because I think the idea was she could have been a regular character in those movies, kind of like what's her name in The Mummy, but that didn't end up happening. But I don't know. We'll see what happens.
But
so wait for Van Helsing too. They're gonna do it.
Well, I'm happy to keep waiting. So I did want to at least touch on that and speak to that, and we will. I will revisit last week's stream. I will listen to it and see what you guys had to say about it. I will rewatch the film and see if there's anything there of any value to us.
In your plans of trying
my
to
plans of reshaping the dark universe for Universal. Was there anything that you found as you were rewatching it in my absence that you were like, well, That's a good idea.
Well, I like how in the beginning it starts out in the whole black and white. I kind of got a kick out of that, how they made it look like a old school Universal monster movie before then going into the color in the present. I thought that was kind of neat. In fact, visually, I thought it looked fine. Okay, it actually, the town looks like one of those old Universal monsters villages that you saw in those old movies. I thought, the costuming and the town and all that was fine for the ambience. I didn't have it take an issue with any of that. It did kind of look like you were going to take those old school Universal movies and try and do them up with the modern stuff. That's what they would look like. So I didn't really take an issue with that. So I would I would probably duplicate that. But you know what my pick is for an eventual rewatch and reshaping the Universal Dark Universe? I mentioned this to Vera. I'm telling you, Dark Man.
Oh yeah, no,
Okay.
that's in the hopper.
As maybe a that is a way. If you look at that movie, in some ways, it's a take on Phantom of the Opera. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
Also, House of Wax in a way too.
And didn't you say that?
Mhm.
Didn't you say that Darkman is a Universal film?
Yeah, they own it. They own it, and I think Sam Raimi, when he made it, he was trying to pay homage to the old those old horror movies. Okay, even though it was takes place in modern
that's
times.
the kind of thing that I'm going to need to look at if I'm going to do anything with Phantom of the Opera besides a one-off. If it's going to continue and get sequels and stuff like that, we'll have to.
Well, technically, though, too, Darkman, if it's owned by Universal, couldn't they just make it part of this thing anyway? I know it may seem like odd, but you could also go from it from that point of view. Just, I don't know.
No, you're right. You're absolutely right about that. No, yeah,
because they own Darkman, and I'm sorry, Sam Raimi. Oh, what? He's. I think he'd be amenable to either having someone else make it, or at least maybe even making it himself, or even working on other Universal horror movies. Sam Raimi is a talented director. He's done horror movies before. He'd be perfect to do some of these Universal Dark Universe movies. But we'll see. He also did Spider-Man. People forget about that.
Yep. Wolfie said that he had commented on the inconsistencies about how vamps die. That
yes, that's right.
I almost felt like this is the kind of thing that goes without saying, but we really shouldn't leave anything without being said, right? If we were creating a shared universe, right? If we were doing the Favreau thing, right? We would have like a writer's Bible, right? And I would say this is sacrosanct. We have established already that this is how vampires work. This is how, this works. This is how that works.
Yeah.
If you are going to countermand that in any way, there must be a good explanation.
Yeah.
If not, you're writing the wrong story.
You need your set rules for your vampires, okay? You need your set rules for your werewolves, your mummies, and whatnot, okay? Mm-hmm. How to fight them, what their weaknesses are, blah blah. I am going to say this. I love those old Universal movies, and I love their treatment of like the Karnstein style vampires. But there was one element they introduced which I thought was kind of stupid. Whereas if you set one of these vampires on fire, they burn and their soul enters another body. Okay, and that person, which I thought was stupid. That's just stupid.
Yeah. So
you burn a vampire, it's done, or it's still alive and runs about, but you don't. It burns, and then this vampire's soul or whatever. No, get rid of that. Okay.
And this is the thing that I would be very, very rigid about. Right? It's. I'm gonna call it the Buffyverse rule, but it really is just Buffy just being true to the actual lore of vampires. When a vampire comes back, they have no soul. They are an empty husk. They are an animated body. At best, there's a demon in there. Okay. But by and large, they are, exactly. Because that's a Buffy line too. We got to do that. We've got to do a rewatch of Once More with Feeling from Buffy.
Bees.
Yeah. Okay. Well, if you're going to do Buffy, you got to do the movie first. You got to do the original Buffy film
with Christy
first.
Swanson.
Yep. And then Once More with Feeling.
What I always found interesting about vampires and sometimes in the Hammer movies is that they're almost like an echo of the person that lived. Do you understand?
Exactly.
It's not really them. It's like they have some aspects of the personality, but like it's now all distorted. Okay.
Yeah. In a way.
That's
you know who really got the who really got the spirit of it right, no pun intended, was Stephen King with his Pet Cemetery.
Yeah.
You know, what was the line? You bury something in the Pet Cemetery, it comes back, but it comes back wrong.
Yeah.
And they really get at it comes back. This is a reanimated corpse with all the memories, all the personality, but no soul. And this is not a big stretch in the real world. In the real world, we have real psychopaths, right? Who are human beings, who understand, who think, who reason, but they just don't have any empathy. They literally have no soul. Now, I don't mean literally as in from a philosophical standpoint, if anyone has a soul, everyone has a soul.
Right.
I'm not going to speak to that. I'm talking about the idea of a conscience, right?
Right.
Caring about other people, that aspect of the soul.
Angel had a soul.
That's where I was leading with this, the whole Buffy thing, right? She even said, where one guy, he had like cancer or something and he wanted to become a vampire so he could live. And she goes, you don't understand. That's not living. Okay. You still die. All you've done is reanimate your corpse. So he becomes a vampire. She's sitting literally waiting at his grave. When he comes back, she puts him down,
Yeah.
And then they have those stories with Angel and with Spike, both dealing with them being vampires who get their soul back. And Spike, well, actually, both of those characters are great examples because you get to see them, what they're like when they have a soul and what they're like when they don't have a soul. And it's not really as simple as just, I'm now evil because I don't have a soul. Evil in what regard? Because they don't give a flying F anymore about anything but themselves and their own motivations. What ties them to the real world, what ties them to humanity is caring about other people, that self-sacrifice, that I'd literally give up my own life for the people I care about. Right. And who do you care about? Everybody to some small degree.
Right.
I even felt bad about that song I was singing at the beginning, because as much as I can't stand Kathleen Kennedy, I don't really wish any ill on her physically,
Right.
Let her live with what
you want to defang the snake rather than kill
it. Rather than chop its head off. Exactly.
Okay.
That's exactly right. But I'm gonna freak everybody out. I'm gonna make a confession tonight. Maybe it's because this daiquiri's starting to go to my head a little bit. But as I've gotten older, gotten a little wiser, maybe been black-pilled on some aspects of life, believe it or not, as conservative as I am, I've become very much more liberal in my old age. Liberal with a small L, classically liberal. Okay.
Really?
Yeah, I am much less dogmatic about things and more live and let live. Right? I mean, all this woke BS that people push on us, I look at that as the essence of it, the real, in quotes, wokeness, okay, is what it should be, is just common sense. Treat people decently. It doesn't matter what the color of their skin is. It doesn't matter what their gender is. It doesn't matter what they believe, okay? Everybody's a human being. Everybody deserves to be treated as a human being, right?
Mm-hmm.
You are what you make of yourself, okay? I don't care that you're a man, a woman, you're black, you're white, you're gay, straight, or other, okay? What I care about is what kind of a person are you? If you're an asshole, I don't have time for you, okay? But if you happen to be a socialist, but you're a really good person, okay, maybe I don't agree with your political views, but I still care about you as a person. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Anyway, that was my big confession for the night. Don't expect too much more.
Goodness. Well, we'll see how much alcohol you get in you. Wolfden made a point that the redheaded vampire in the Wyatt Bride popped like a balloon when she was staked, and we didn't understand that.
Yeah, but even those kinds of things matter, right? Even
I
that
keep-
kind of consistency.
You think something was left on the cutting room floor where they explained it, and then no, it's too long. Got to cut something, you know.
You know what? If it does, that's another example of what's wrong with cinema. You know, I mean, you got to let people tell their story, and if their story is 3 hours, I cite Citizen Kane. You know, it's like, you know, if this is a good story, it's a good story no matter how long it was. Weren't you the one that told me a story about some director who wrote a story that went longer, and they said, no, you got to get it down to 2 hours. So we got them together for a screening of a 2-hour version of it. And he was like, it literally cuts off at 2 hours. And they're like, well, how does it end? You said you wanted it to be 2 hours. Okay, we get your point. Go ahead and make it
wasn't
longer.
me, but that's a good story.
I don't remember what movie it was. And if somebody is in the stream right now listening that remembers exactly what I'm talking, it was probably Big Al. If it wasn't you, it was probably Big Al.
It was either Big Al or the Prof, I think.
Yeah. So if there's anybody listening who remembers that story, knows what we're talking about, what I'm talking about with that, let us know. But
I'm thinking of the Oscar noms this coming thing, and I'm thinking I don't think I want to see any of these movies.
Mm-mm.
Anyway,
well, especially these past 2 years where, you know, you haven't been able to. You know what, though? This is something we're going to have to talk about. Maybe not this week, but in coming weeks. Godzilla versus Kong. I haven't seen it, but I've heard good things. And I'm starting to hear some whispers about this could be the film that saves Hollywood.
The giant,
or at least the
movie.
cinema, you know, operation, you know.
So why? Because it shows people still want to go to movie theaters.
Exactly.
Yeah,
and it can be profitable. If you want to have a profitable film, release it in theaters.
I want a new Dirty Harry movie, but I don't want a new Dirty Harry movie. They won't do it right. Never mind.
Right. You can't have a good Dirty Harry film in the era where you can't have a good James Bond film.
Yeah.
It's just
I was thinking
simple.
they could get Scott Eastwood to play him. You know, Clint Eastwood's son looks a lot like him. No, I don't think.
You know, I would say Dirty Harry is a lot like James Bond in that it doesn't matter who plays him as long as you get the character right.
Maybe.
You want me to well, maybe I have had too much alcohol, but I would say it doesn't even have to be a white guy.
Well, yeah, but I mean,
especially if you're like rebooting it.
We've had plenty of tough cops, like
Dirty
we had.
Harriet?
No, actually, it's funny. Dirty Harriet. Yeah, scratch that. There was a television show in the 80s, short-lived, unfortunately. I wish it would get a re-release on Blu-ray or stream somewhere. It was called Lady Blue, and she was nicknamed Dirty Harriet. She was a pretty redheaded woman. I forget who played her, but Daniela Aiello was on her as like her boss or partner, saying, "What are you doing? You're running headfirst into things." And like,
I like
it was one of the most violent television series I saw in that era. She was going after nasty criminals each week, and it did remind you of it did remind you of a Dirty Harry. It took place in Chicago instead of San Francisco. It was called Lady Blue. If you can find it on the high seas, I recommend it, but I don't know if it's anywhere. But it's
when did it come out?
It's in the 80s. Lady Blue. I'm trying to remember who the actress was.
What network was that on?
Oh, well, I can find out for you. Let me see.
Yeah, because I was kind of into films or shows like that in the 80s. I mean, the original 21 Jump Street and Booker and stuff that.
But this was really good. And I had a thing. Here's what y'all don't get about television shows back in the day. They didn't last. Things got canceled left and right. Okay. You'd be liking a show, and then it would get canceled like after 10 episodes. And this would happen repeatedly. This was on ABC. Oh, well, that wouldn't get made today. Okay, I'm sorry.
No. You're absolutely right. That's
if it's good, it's not going to get made by ABC. We'll talk more about that. Jamie Rose. I don't know if you know who that actress is, but she was a pretty curly redheaded woman. They casted a redhead as the lead. Oh my goodness. Okay, and it was and it took place in Chicago, and she took out nasty villains, serial killers, all sorts of things, and. Okay, but again, hopefully it'll get a re-release.
was the color of her eyes. But yeah, you know what? Let's try to get. I need
Get
to
back
like,
on topic. I don't want to
need
talk about her.
focus.
You're bad.
I am.
You're good.
This is what
Gina
happens when
Carano
they
as Lady
drink.
Blue. Gina Carano as Lady Blue. Boom. Boom. Remake it with her. She doesn't have to be redheaded. Yes.
Well,
we
yeah,
go.
but here's the
Rip
problem:
it off,
we have
Gina,
redheads
rip it off.
very underrepresented in Hollywood.
I know it is, but for now, we want to give Gina a plum roll. Gina, watch Lady Blue. Redo it for Ben Shapiro, okay? And just you can rip it off. It's just a tough, okay? You can just rip it off. You'll hold something
Actually,
else.
it
Okay?
sounds like it would be on brand too.
Yeah, perfect. Dirty Harriet, Gina Carano. Boom.
Can I just say, I don't think this is not what is the phrase that they're using for simp. This is not me simping at all. But I don't think that Gina Carano is capable of taking a bad picture. I mean, she is just flat attractive.
Yes.
Now, it doesn't hurt that she's got most of the primary features of my mother. So, I mean, I totally get the whole imprinting and Oedipus thing. And this is not lost on me, having been a psychology major. But, wow.
Okay, so we have Kathleen Kennedy on the left. So what's going on? Give me the skinny.
So yeah, let me back up because I know that you are missing the story on this. So Doomcock has gotten and again, I know you will too after the stream. Make sure you listen to
I will before Sunday.
Sunday. But he got word that she's on her way out. And so he reached out to some of his other contacts and they were all like, yeah, we were holding off on this until we had more information. But yeah, it's pretty much looking like, and I am way paraphrasing. Okay. So please, everybody, fact check me, go back to Doomcock, hear what he actually said. This is my interpretation now through a daiquiri fog. But he said that, apparently it's like she's in negotiations for her retirement and she's on her way out and they will not be renewing. And so several of the news pieces that have come out in the past couple of weeks directly relate to this. This is why all of the Star Wars social media has gone quiet. This is why we're getting the Indy 5 news that we are. This is why what do you call it? The Mandalorian has been apparently has been postponed. And this is why we're getting this news article about the JJ cut. All of this ties together.
Okay.
So the theory is, or the scoop or the rumor is that as she's negotiating her retirement, they have not been happy with her for a long time. Let's face it. If that wasn't true, there's something much more wrong with Disney than we ever even dreamed. There is no way that anybody is happy with Kathleen Kennedy over there. So they don't want to renew her. They can't continue this way. Star Wars cannot survive the way it is. And they've basically said, look, you're out. So she needs to put as positive a spin on it as possible. That's why we get the news article about, what was it? There is no civil war between Kathleen Kennedy and Jon Favreau. They respect each other, they're colleagues. And of course, what is a company going to say? What are people in a professional position going to say? Right? Favreau is not going to come out and say she's an effing bitch. And let me speak to that, okay? Because this has been some talk that I've even seen in our own fans against the Disney Star Wars group. People are blaming Favreau and saying, well, he never spoke out in favor of Gina. He never supported her. People, use your brains. engage a little bit. Think. Put yourself in that person's position, okay? If he had come out and said, this is effing bullshit when Gina got let go, he'd have been out too. And all we'd have is the High Republic, Kathleen Kennedy, forever. Okay? So he keeps his mouth shut. He knows she's on her way out. And he just holds his breath, crosses his fingers behind his back, and waits until she's gone. And then he takes over and fixes it all. There's wisdom there. There's maturity there. There's intelligence there. There's also somebody who cares about his putting bread on his own frickin' table, right? I mean, I know everybody thinks that, you know, these Hollywood people are all rich and wealthy and never have to worry about money. That's probably true about Kathleen Kennedy. I don't know that that's true about Favreau. He's definitely got more money than I do, but that doesn't mean that he's set for life. Let me explain something about wealth, okay? If you were a millionaire, okay, and you have zero income because you're out of work, that doesn't last forever, okay? If you don't have insurance, one chronic illness in your family can wipe you out in less than a year. Okay, we could get into, you know, talks about managed care and insurance and the state of healthcare in our country, but that's just, let me distill it down for you. I am in fairly good health, but I have a chronic situation where I need medication every day, basically to live. Okay, I have a clotting issue. I'm not even going to talk about the Johnson & Johnson vaccine. You know, I am not even eligible for that because of the whole clotting thing. So I'm on blood thinners. Blood thinners are expensive. They, I specifically take Xarelto. That's hundreds of dollars a month if I had to pay out of pocket.
$500, $525.
$525. Okay. $525 out of pocket per month. When you're out of work with no insurance, that's literally the choice between your family eating and you taking your medication. Okay. If I don't take my medication, I will die. Okay. I will have a stroke. I will have a heart attack and I will die. It's what it comes down to. With insurance, $10 copay a month. I can live with that. Okay. Now, to be fair, we're also talking about issues of business where, you know, the company that puts out the drug doesn't want me to die. They want to be able to get money from me every month. So while I've been out of work, they have said, you know what? We're going to put you on this program. And we're going to take care of you until you get back on your feet. And as you all know, both Nanette and I have gotten back to work. And very shortly, we will have insurance. And I will be able to start contributing. And I will be very thankful to Big Pharma for being so magnanimous and choosing to keep me alive. But this is how these things work. All it takes is to be without insurance for any length of time, and you can go broke very quickly. Okay. I don't care how much money you have. If you have a chronic situation where you need medication every month, where you need chemotherapy, if you need treatment for MS, whatever it is, that can wipe you out like that if you're paying out of pocket. And I think that we tend to assume that being famous means being obscenely wealthy. And that's not the case. There are a lot of very poor, famous people.
You can be obscenely wealthy 1 year and then a couple of years go by and, you know, it's all gone. You spent too much money. You made bad investments. That's another thing that happens to people.
Yep.
Do you get, look at Madoff. Remember Bernie Madoff? People lost all, you know.
Well, but, you know, Everyone looks at that and goes, well, yeah, but you make bad decisions. But all it takes is one bad decision, right?
Yeah.
I mean, so this is what I'm getting at. Okay, so don't judge Favreau too harshly for wanting to keep his job and keeping his mouth shut.
Plus,
Look,
he's keeping a lot of other people employed that aren't making the big,
that's
making a living.
the
But
other
they're making
thing
big
too.
bucks. Yeah.
If he gets kicked to the curb, then everybody on the Mandalorian gets kicked to the curb. He's literally standing there holding the line, trying to keep alive this fandom, trying to keep alive Star Wars, trying to keep alive the jobs for the people that are working on the Mandalorian and Boba Fett and any other projects he has in the pike. And anybody who's intelligent, anyone who's ever played, I'm not even talking 3D and 4D chess. I'm talking simple, normal 2D chess. Get on my level, 2D chess, okay? You got to think beyond the next move. You got to think many moves down the line, okay? You sacrifice a pawn to save the queen. You sacrifice the queen to save the king. That's the only way the game keeps going, right? You don't do something big and brash and bold this round that's going to ultimately end up losing you the game, okay? And that's what people are blaming Favreau for. Well, you should have done this. You should have done that. That's really easy for you to say. What have you done in your life? Have you ever spoken up to your boss? Have you ever walked away from a job on principle? Okay. Have you ever stayed in a job and kept your mouth shut until the asshole above you got fired and then moved up?
Yeah, that can happen.
Okay. And that's what an intelligent person does. That's the only way you make real change. You want to make a statement and be forgotten, then shoot your mouth off. You want to make actual change, keep your mouth shut, do your job well, don't give them a reason to fire you, wait out the asshole above you who's eventually going to do something stupid and take their job. Okay, so that's my little defense for somebody that I don't even know who could be, as big a, SJW asshole as Kathleen Kennedy, but at least he's got the wisdom to do a good job and not let it ruin what he's doing, And I don't know that's the case. He's got the class not to shoot off his mouth about what he believes and what his politics are.
Right. So going forward, we're thinking she's not going to get her contract renewed. Yeah. This means she'll still be around to November. What can she do between now and November?
You don't want to know.
Well, no. In fairness, that does go back to something. I know Netter hasn't even had a chance to see the Doomcock video yet, because technically I saw it while I was still working. So shh, don't tell my boss.
Okay, it's okay.
While
you were on your 15-minute break, I'm sure. I'm just
I say that
to help you out.
I say that tongue in cheek because one of my coworkers said that he was going to jump into the stream to listen in. So I said, oh, I better be on my best behavior. A coworker is going to be listening in. You know what? Real quick, let me say real hi to Jeff B and to senior helpers.
Cool.
SR helpers. I don't know. It's literally SR helpers. I'm wondering if that's short for senior helpers. Anyway, haven't seen those names before. Thanks so much for being here.
No, Jeff B is usually a Max channel.
Oh, that's that Jeff B. Hey, how you doing? Oh, so good to see you. Sorry.
And Melissa just popped in.
And Melissa Harris, thank you. Melissa Harris and Sons. Glad you're here. Thank you so much. Let me say hi to you. So yeah, speaking to exactly that, and like I said, I know Netter hasn't seen the Doomcock video yet. If what he's saying is true, she's been completely marginalized. Her contract isn't being renewed, and she has no control any longer at Lucasfilm. That's why it's all gone silent, because the social media people are like, we don't know what to do. Nobody's at the helm. We don't know who's about to take over. We better keep it on the down low now. And it's really looking like there's going to be a big purge. Because let's face it, everybody who is in the Kathleen Kennedy camp is going, can I still ingratiate myself to the new administration, or should I start putting out my resume? It's funny because this is one of the things that Cameron Pasha was specifically saying, right? I'm sorry, did I miss somebody, Wolfie? Is Samuel Proctor in the house?
Yes,
Oh, I'm sorry, Samuel. I guess I didn't see your comments, but thanks for being here. Yeah, keep in mind, I'm sitting up here blabbering, and I've had something to drink, and sometimes it gets hard for me to.
Here's how you ingratiate yourselves. What's your social media record? What have you been saying on social media, especially to the quote with the fans?
Well,
okay?
and this is the underlying thing, right? One of the other things that gosh, there's just so much in this.
Justina Ireland, cough. Okay, I'm sorry.
Apparently, Disney is getting very draconian about their social media policy. The exact thing that they let Gina Carano go for, they are now applying across the board fairly to everyone. And they are saying, we want to see your social media presence. We want to know exactly what you're posting. And if you post anything that is in any way derogatory to fans, in any way political, you may as well just start putting out your resume.
Okay.
And a lot of people are freaking out about that. Expect to see not only, and that's partly why all of Star Wars social media is going quiet. It's also, I would expect to see the individuals that work for Lucasfilm start watching for big purges of their Twitter feeds.
Do you think that there's fear in these companies? I mean, maybe I'm being Pollyannish, to use a Disney reference.
I think you're absolutely spot on.
But do you think maybe they think that we've overstepped too much with the social justice thing? Yeah.
This is what I've been saying for so long, and so many people have said, no. I'm naive. I don't know what I'm talking about. I'm sorry. Basic economy 101 always wins out. Okay. The pendulum has got to swing. Either the Titanic is going to sink, or they're going to find a way to avoid the frickin' iceberg. Okay. And it may not happen quickly. It's a big ship with a very tiny pin, but it must happen. The shareholders have spoken. Those two calls that came in during the investor call, maybe not very polished, but they rang loudly. They did.
Hi, Leia plus size.
Oh, Leia, so glad you're here. Good evening, everybody. What is the topic of the evening? Well, we've actually had many topics. If you get a chance, go back and listen to the last hour. But we are now on the main topic, which is the picture you're seeing, the Doomcock video that dropped today about Kathleen Kennedy apparently being on her way out, for real this time. But here, this is what it comes down to. You can only coast for so long. You can only go for so long without making any money before a company goes bankrupt. And Disney is not the cash cow people think they are. They are very in debt. And every month that goes by that they don't pay that debt off, they're losing money. And every movie they put out that loses money, they lose money. And their share goes down. And investor confidence goes down. They are in a horrible situation with Mulan and the Koof and so many other things. The firing of Gina Carano, the antics of just bad pool on the part of Kathleen Kennedy. She thought who the fuck she was. She thought that she could run the hen coop, and it just did not work out for her. You know, she was playing chess with checker rules. Honestly, or how did Kamran Pasha put it? They were playing 4D chess, and she was playing Candyland without the right pieces for Candyland.
Oh, you might want to apologize for that.
No. I think he was spot on, because from her point of view, I see what she was doing. I see what her intent was. She totally misinterpreted who the fuck she was.
Now,
Because honestly, Hollywood has not changed from its inception. Hollywood is a business. And what is the number one rule of Hollywood? What have you done for me lately? And what Kathleen Kennedy has done lately is driven Disney and Lucasfilm into the fucking ground. I don't care what your curriculum vitae says. I don't care how your name is on some of the biggest films in history. That Forbes article is ringing like a gong.
what was the straw that broke the camel's back? Was it the Gina Carano getting let go situation?
It was a 1-2 punch. It was the Gina Carano thing, and it was the Forbes article. And let's face it, the Forbes article was a direct response to Gina Carano.
I am kind of curious about the whole. I guess I'm trying to say, like, Star Wars was kind of riding high again after that last Mandalorian season finale, right? Okay, I think everybody was getting excited about Star Wars again.
I still have my fingers crossed that I'm going to get my Cara Dune retro figured. Just saying.
Okay, but my thinking is, did Kathleen Kennedy not like that and was trying to figure out a way to sabotage the Mandalorian? Okay.
Absolutely. You have to understand, for all the people that keep wanting to say, oh, there's no civil war going on over at Lucasfilm. Okay. We're splitting hairs here. Okay. You can argue that there's no civil war, and from a Disney standpoint, there isn't, because Disney is the corporate body and they all have a single goal.
You
right?
don't have John Favreau having his own flag and Kathleen Kennedy having her flag, that sort of thing. You know?
That's what you have to understand. If you
it's not the Redheads versus the Cavaliers.
If you are in the camp that says, "Oh, there's no civil war over at Disney," okay, fine. Have you ever had a job? Have you ever worked in corporate America? Have you ever run afoul of a boss or someone in another department, or seen the politics in companies? The company has an overall plan and goal, but every individual there is out for themselves. Okay. There is constant civil war in every freaking company. That's just the way it is. So nobody is saying anything that isn't obvious to anybody who's ever worked anywhere. Okay. And I'm going to even speak to those people in academia. Okay. If you're in academia, you understand the politics, and you understand keeping your mouth shut when you need to keep your mouth shut. You know when to stay clear of certain people, and you know crossing your fingers and hoping certain people eventually go elsewhere. Okay.
Yeah.
And if you say the wrong thing to the wrong people at the wrong time, you're effed and you're out. Okay. For those academics who don't understand the corporate structure.
Or you're not getting tenure. Okay. You know, that sort of thing.
Right. Right. And these people have no problem condemning Favreau. And yet they're concerned about their brand on YouTube and whether or not, they're going to have a teaching job the next year.
Well, Favreau never came out and even commented, I think, on the Gina Carano situation. He just didn't say anything.
Because he's a professional.
Yeah.
Okay. Oh, Max World Entertainment is here in the house.
Hi,
Trey. Okay, guys, notice that. Look at the chat. Max World Entertainment. What I want you all to do if you guys are a fan of me, of Aged Boomer, of Netter, if you love us, go subscribe to Mac. If you are a fan of Star Trek, real Star Trek, go follow Mac's World Entertainment, okay? And Mac, I don't know if you're available. I don't know if you want to come in and chat with me, but I am going to send you an invitation. Check your email right now, okay? Let me Boomer talk while I try to focus on what I'm doing here.
Sure thing. Hello, hello, the chat. Yeah, I don't know. I mean, I'm thinking though, what can happen between now and November with Kathleen Kennedy, and frankly, I know we're wanting to be all hopeful now, even if I mean, like I said, these rumors, the rumors at the moment, but they're, like I said, multiple sources they may end up turning credible. But my point is, I don't know what is going to end up happening between now and then. I'm still wondering what's going to happen with this Indiana Jones movie. Okay,
that's the. I'm glad you reminded me. I'm glad we kept talking, because
which will be the last one Harrison Ford does probably in his life, I think. Yes.
Well, whatever the case is, the fact is that this has come up. That big news this week, the whole Indiana Jones 5 talk, right? A lot of people are saying that only is happening this week because that's part of the negotiations for Kathleen Kennedy's retirement. She wants to get the movie out. That's part of her legacy. They're saying, fine, if this is what it takes to get rid of you, do the damn movie. You know?
Wait a minute. So Indiana Jones gets sacrificed to get rid of Kathleen Kennedy so Star Wars can be saved?
Dude, Crystal Skull. There's nothing to sacrifice.
Here is what I'm going to say about Crystal Skull. And that movie had its own share of problems. But what it didn't do was ruin the character of Indiana Jones. He was still fine. He was just in a stupid story. Okay. You know, and that can happen. You've had bad James Bond movies. You know, I'm looking at you, Octopussy. But anyway, you know, Diamonds Are Forever is another pet peeve one of mine. But anyway,
you're right. I am being a little bit.
I am worried, and like I said, I don't know if I want to do this tonight or I'll wait till Sunday to do my top five predictions.
Go ahead.
You want my top 5 predictions for Indiana Jones?
Go for it.
Okay. By the way, I'm not as anti Phoebe Waller-Bridge as I was on the initial knee-jerk reaction. I don't think she's a bad actor. I'm just, we'll see.
I'll tell you what, I get a little upset about people that are giving her guff about her looks, because she's not an unattractive woman.
No, I think she looks. I don't have an issue.
That's just crazy. Okay,
yeah,
she's got a very classic look to her. I would love to see her. They're going to set this in the 60s. I'd rather see her in the 40s, but whatever.
Yeah. But anyway, this is what I imagine. I've had predictions. Okay. One, it rhymes with Yahtzees will be the villains again. Okay. All right.
I don't know, man. In the 60s?
No. There was even a precedent.
I think they're going to do the whole McCarthyism thing and the whole.
No, they're not. They would have done that with Crystal Skull. They did a little bit of the Crystal Skull. We're like going
the hippie Russian thing.
No. They're going to do They listen to me. I'm not saying if somebody who knows what they're doing. This is like a Kathleen Kennedy run Indiana Jones movie. Okay, I'm telling you, this is what will happen. Okay, you gonna listen to me? Okay, these are my 5 predictions. I think I have 5 here. I was gonna write them down, but to go from my head. Okay, all right.
1B 3.5.
Okay, whatever. Anyway, listen. First one. It's gonna be the Yahtzees. Now, to be fair, a spy movie from the 60s I like a lot is called, I think, the Quiller Memorandum, and that's about these cells in Germany that were wanting to bring the old thing back. And I guess this might have been an actual thing. At that point, they were in charge of the government, but you still had remnants running around acting like terrorist cells. So there was even a precedent where you could get away with doing it. Plus, you have all the whole thing about like Odessa groups and stuff. We've seen those in movies in the 70s, right? You know, like Boys from Brazil and whatnot. You know, it's not without it. So they'll be the villains. Again, nothing wrong with that on the surface because it could work. But I'm worried they'll be doing it, of course, because it's the favorite word they like to call people who disagree with them politically now. Okay, Do you understand?
Mm-hmm.
They're the ones who are going to turn into something it's not supposed to be. Okay. And Mads Mikkelsen, who's been cast, he'll be one. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
All right. This is where things get a little more funny. Okay. I was going to come up with 5. Hopefully I have 5. Might only have 4, but we'll see. Let's see if I remember. Okay. The second one is, this is really bad. I'm thinking that they're going to be looking for the Ark of the Covenant again. And I know it's
lost in the warehouse.
It's lost in the warehouse. It's going to be something to do with the Ark of the Covenant again.
Issue.
They're going to recycle. They are going to recycle. They're going to recycle a lost object. Okay, and I don't know how they'll work that in. And I because it's stupid. Okay, and I kept thinking, is there like another religious object to be going after? No, they'll just do Ark of the Covenant again. And don't ask me how. Like maybe they'll be flying it to a base in Cairo somewhere, and it'll slip out and fall into a pyramid. They don't know which one. I don't know. Okay, it's gonna. They're gonna do that. It's gonna be a repeat artifact. It's gonna be another callback or something. Part of me keep thinking, well, maybe they'll do the Sphere of Destiny. Okay, they haven't done that one yet, but no. I'm thinking it. I'm trying to think what's the least creative thing to do, and we're gonna bring the Ark of the Covenant back in some fashion. Okay. All right,
okay.
You like that?
Sure.
Okay.
You're almost giving them too
much
much
credit. 5. I
do
have 5. Okay. What? You almost what?
I feel like you're almost giving them too much credit. Some of these ideas are the kinds of things I would expect Spielberg himself to do, especially when you mentioned
they get worse.
Destiny.
They get worse. Okay. Marion Crane and her son, what was his name again? Something
Indy Jr.
Indy Jr. I forgot what his name. The Shia LaBeouf character. Okay, they died in a car accident.
Can be recast. He could be recast.
No, they're dead. They died in a car accident.
Right. Yeah,
they died in a car accident. Okay.
Sure.
You guys listening? Okay, they died in a car accident. Maybe some drunken frat boys. No real reason for it. Okay. All right. It'll be a reflection on Indy's failure as both a father and a husband. You're not going to get too many details on it in the movie, though, but there'll be a book, a prequel book about it written by Justina Ireland you can check out, okay?
Yeah.
Okay, you think I'm kidding? Joke, okay?
No,
they'll
I
be
see where
dead,
you're going
okay?
with this.
They'll be dead, okay? All right. Let's see. Number 4, Indy did something terrible. Okay, Indiana Jones did something terrible, something unforgivable. Okay, I'm thinking he was trying to find an artifact in South America. This will probably be post Crystal Skull. I'm thinking, or at least post the original trilogy. Okay, they'll do a flashback. They'll use that wonderful de-aging software that looks so realistic. Okay, on him. Okay, and he'll be trying to yank this Incan pendant out of a wall. And it'll end up destroying some indigenous village, okay, and wiping out a whole group of people, okay.
Okay.
And this is because we don't want we can't have heroes, okay. We need like the Luke Skywalker trying to kill Kylo Ren moment. Plus, I think it also rips off one of the later Tomb Raider games of something Lara does, okay.
Yep.
In the newer ones, and they tend to like to rip off things, and they'll say, well, it's not really ripping off because this is a guy doing it. It's Indiana Jones, and Indiana Jones was around before Lara Croft. Okay, what do you think?
I kind of see where you're going with
okay.
it. Yeah.
Number 5. This is important. Okay.
No. I'm gonna keep listening, but I do need to mute my mic. I got to step away for a moment. Okay.
Okay. Well, this is the important one. Okay.
I'm listening.
There will be sexual tension between the Mads Mikkelsen Yahtzee villain and the Phoebe Waller-Bridge character. Either they had a relationship in the past and it was wrong. Maybe he was undercover or something. Or it will be or it could be a potential for something after the movie. So maybe Mads Mikkelsen dies by falling into a puff of smoke or something, or something like that. This is so that the fan fiction writers will have something to toy around with. Okay, and he's he'll be a horrible villain, but maybe not so dark at the end. I don't know. What do we think, huh? What do we think, chat? These are the 5. You have to make the shippers happy, so that's what we'll be doing there. So that's my 5. What do we think, chat? Anybody? Al knows for sure Indy Jr. died because he was there. He killed him. Okay. I'm telling you, no, they're not going to be around because I think Shia LaBeouf is not allowed into those movies anymore because he bashed Crystal Skull publicly. But like Troy said, you can simply just recast. It's like 10 years later. You just use a new actor. But and even what if Lucas was doing it or Spielberg, they'd be setting up a romance between the son of Indiana Jones and the Phoebe Waller-Bridge character. This will not be happening though, because as I said, they're going to die. Okay, they will be dead. Keep in mind that these are like what I consider to be like the worst decisions you can make. I'm trying to think of like the Rian Johnson version of things. I'm trying to subvert your expectations. Okay. Indy will die at the end of the movie. This is a sixth one. He will not be wearing an eye patch at all during the movie, and it will not be the continuity. It will be a continuity error with the Young Indiana Jones Chronicles because of that. He will not have the eye patch. Okay,
That's a big problem in my opinion.
he's not going to have the eye patch, and he's not going to get it either at the end of the movie. Okay.
Well,
And then he's going to die at the end of the movie. He's going to die alone too. It'll be like Kirk on the bridge at the end of Star Trek Generations.
That does seem like the kind of thing that Kath. And this is the irony, right? Okay, if what they're saying is true, Kathleen Kennedy wants to get her, her spin on Indiana Jones. She is not going to be going out on a high point. If she is trying to set her legacy, okay, her legacy is going to be wanton destruction. It's going to be poor business sense, wanton destruction, and she's just going to look like a fool. Really, this is how history, and I am just being objective. This is how history is going to remember her. Is this what she wants? I mean, does she want to go down as this is feminism, destroy everything, and honor women? This is not. I mean,
it's killing the hero.
Gloria
okay?
Steinem is just pulling her hair out.
Well, she's still with us, isn't they? They could ask.
Yeah, that's
her.
why she's not turning over in her grave.
I see. Here's the thing. Okay. They have to destroy the character of Indiana Jones. Okay. It's what wasn't accomplished with Crystal Skull. I know a lot of people don't like that movie, but Indiana Jones is fine. I don't have a problem with him even getting together with Marion and the fact that he has a son. I actually thought that was a nice touch in that movie.
Yeah.
Okay? I didn't hate everything about that movie. I thought that was nice. Okay.
Look, I will even go so far as to say I'd have been fine if his offspring had turned out to be female.
Yes.
Would not necessarily have been a problem in any way, shape, or form. I actually kind of prefer it had gone that way if it would have meant not casting the person they cast. I mean, because that was a mistake.
They thought, he was in those Transformers movies at the time. I don't know if Spielberg was tied to that at all. And
I will bet you that there was some sort of contractual obligation there. That's how Hollywood works.
Yeah, but the point is, you can simply recast that character because it's 10 years later. You can recast characters.
Yes.
I don't understand this. They recast characters I don't want them to recast, and then they don't recast characters when they should be recasting. For instance, if what's his name doesn't want to do Red Skull, just cast a new actor as the Red Skull. You can even give him the makeup. Mads Mikkelsen as Red Skull. There you go. Okay, put him in the makeup. Okay. You're not going to tell it's not Hugo Weaving. Okay, come on.
We're going to have to pick up Indiana Jones again on Sunday.
We're going to have a lot to talk about. Yes.
I am going to bring in the host of Max World Entertainment, dear friend of mine and Netter's. And by dear friend, I mean, haven't met him personally, but he's my brother from another mother. God, what a great spirit. Great person. If you're not subscribed to Max World Entertainment, please go subscribe. All 17 of you that are watching right now that aren't already subscribed to him,
and hit that thumbs up.
Please, and say hi to my brother from another mother, Trey from Max World Entertainment. How you doing today, Trey?
The only reason why I really came up here is to. I just had to come up here and just give you some grief. So
tell me you hate me. Is that what you're coming to tell me, Trey?
I'm coming up here to tell you that I hate you, Troy. I'm also coming up here now, and of course I went ahead and put a little disclaimer together. Everyone's gonna have to forgive me that are here with me on the panel, and of course in the chat. I didn't mean to sabotage Troy's channel. Actually, yes, I did. I've taken quite a bit of cough syrup and other allergy
You've been struggling with those allergies. I know.
Yeah, my allergies have been.
I've been
my ass.
wanting to ask you: Are you like maybe considering talking to your doctor about going on the shots and getting the immunity buildup thing for those?
Yeah, no.
Really?
It's like a
It's like a 2-year project, but I hear it's worth it.
Yeah, no, I don't. Yeah. Anyway.
Okay, no, that's fine. I thought I'd mention it because not a lot of people think about that.
So now that I've given my disclaimer, I'm on a couple of bottles.
Do you want to give another?
Syrup.
Do you want to give the other?
Well, no. I'm here. Give me that damn microphone and you have your mouth right now. Your boy Age Boomer here knows what's going on. So
he's not used to being the guest. He's used to being the host.
All right, no. So here I come with. So I'm going to say all this, and please take it for what it is, as a joke.
Yep.
All right, in jest. But hold on, can I do this here?
You don't have to grease it so hard. We can take it.
But can't we all just get along, guys? Like, like, can't we all just I don't understand all of this kicking tires and lighting fires and you know what I'm here to say. I'm just gonna say it. I'm gonna say all the things that I say over on my channel because that's what I do. And that is, you should stop bashing what you hate and you should start promoting what you love. Okay, because like my mom always says, in a world where you could be anything at all, you just gotta be kind, right? Amen. And like my wife always says, guess what? Corgi bot. No, sorry. Seriously, that all being said, I absolutely agree with everything that Age Boomer said. And this is why.
Oh no, we're not going to corrupt you, are we, Trey? You're not going to bash something, are you?
Okay, so here's my thing. Here's my thing, right? Here's who I am and why I'm able to do what I do. And I don't expect anyone to be like me because that would just be stupid because then I wouldn't be unique anymore. And I would hate it if everyone started copying me.
We love infinite diversity here.
Yeah, we need diversity in this world, and it's good for people. Need to have their own opinions. They need to have their own thoughts. They need to have their own everything because that's what that's what makes life so freaking beautiful, right? That's what makes every single person in this chat room beautiful. It's what makes Age Boomer beautiful. It's what makes Troy Pacelli beautiful. I don't know if it makes me beautiful, but hey, at least maybe I can be easy on the eyes.
Well, easier than me anyway. I'll give you that.
We love you,
but and that is simply this. I like every single Star Trek series out there. It doesn't matter. I don't care. Go ahead, bash me. Go ahead and hate me. Go ahead and throw me under the bus. I don't give a frack. Yep. I love the animated series. Is probably my favorite. And if you don't know what the hell I'm talking about, you should go check it out because it
not only some of the best stories, but some of the best writers.
And it was amazing. And it was some of the most cheesiest shit you could ever come up with ever. And it was, and even Star Trek people don't consider it canon. The people, the powers that be, when it actually has the voices of the original cast series. It was supposed to be the continuation, right? So,
and some of it has worked its way into a canon, some
in some form or another, But I love the original series. I love Next Generation. I love Deep Space Nine. I love Voyager. I love Enterprise. I love Discovery. I love Picard. I love Lower Decks. I love it all. Now here's the thing. Though. Are there episodes that make me want to puke my brains out? Oh, you better believe it.
That was true in Next Generation. That was true. Oh,
that's true in every series. It's true in every. Here's the thing, ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, and kids of all ages. You see all this silver on me?
Yeah.
I call it silver, and I don't give a damn what you call it. It's made me realize that I don't have too many years. I don't have that many years ahead of me as I did behind me.
Yeah.
And that being said, I'm going to find enjoyment in everything. If that means I'm going to get one more Indiana Jones from Kathleen Kennedy.
Yeah.
Then so be it. You know what I mean? Is it going to be the Indiana Jones I grew up with? Of course not. Are you kidding? Nothing ever will be ever again. And that's how it's been our entire lives. It's how it was during my parents' lives. It's how it was during my grandparents' lives. It's how it's going to be during your children's lives and through your grandchildren's lives. They're always going to find something. They're always going to remake it. They're always going to change it. And it's never going to be what you enjoyed the most or what you love the most. And that's okay. That's okay. Yeah. But for me, right, who I know for myself that I don't have as much time ahead of me as I did behind me, I'll take what I can get. Yeah. Am I going to be unhappy with certain scenes? Am I going to be unhappy with maybe some of the writing or some of the editing or some of the production value on it? Oh, yeah, of course. I'm freaking human. Yeah. I'm not Mr. Mary Go Poppins all the goddamn time. Mary Go, but I do my absolute best to be like, you know what? I am thankful that Patrick Stewart came back for Picard. Am I happy with the writing? Yeah. Am I happy with the copy and paste, the 200 million freaking Starfleet vessels at the end of the last episode? Am I happy that Jonathan Frakes was not there to actually hold his best friend in his arms as he lay dying? Yeah. Of course, I got my problems with it. I got my problems with all of it. But to give you a little bit of insight of who I am, you know what I mean? I just, because I know a lot of people think, well, that damn Trey kid, over there on that Maxwell Entertainment, he's just Mr. Uppity Positive all the goddamn time. I just can't take that. And I'm like, shut the fuck up.
But you know what? There's value in that. Because I'll be honest with you. At the end of some of our streams, Boomer and I will be backstage and we'll be like, we tried to be positive tonight. What happened? And he'll even say to me, Troy, you're just so black-pilled. And it's like, I try to be positive. I try to focus on the positive. And I'll tell you what, you probably haven't seen some of what I've been doing, but I got a couple groups on MeWe and alternately on Fridays, we talk about them. We look at some of our favorite franchises and reimagine them. We go, okay, we're not happy with what's going on right now with Warner Brothers and DC Comics. Okay. So let's go back to, the 90s. Let's go back to Smallville. If we were in charge of Warner Brothers in an alternate universe, what would our shared DC universe look like? Okay. And we're doing the same thing with the Universal Monsters, that they keep trying to do that dark universe that doesn't seem to catch on. How would we do it if we were going to do it? That's kind of my way of focusing on what I love. I can't not completely bash what I hate, because I'm sorry. I have a critical nature, and I have to point out when something sucks, I got to say it sucks, but I'm always constructive about it. I always say why it sucks. It doesn't suck because you're a particular gender, or because you're a particular color, or because of it's because this is how writing works. This is how canon works. This is how fandom works.
So I want to also interject a little bit more insight with that right there, if I could. Wait, oh no, you're over here. But first off, let me say I do absolutely agree with everything that Age Boomer was saying about his thoughts and predictions on the next upcoming Indiana Jones movie. Because there's only so many different ways they could take it, and that chick is going to try to play to the crowd, especially after all that's happened, right? It's going to be bastardized in some fashion. Do you mean but Kathleen? That being said, with us having that knowledge going into the movie, right? Mm-hmm. Let's take it for what it is. Let's give Harrison Ford his send off. Let's give the franchise its due diligence, and watch the movie like we did when we were kids, and not have any of these preconceptions of what it really should or should not be. You know what I mean? Yeah. And for you, yes, right? Sorry. Damn it. Squirrel. Squirrel.
You haven't been drinking. Oh, no, you had cough syrup. So
cough syrup. My God, I'm all
my allergies have bugged me lately, too. I get you. I had mute a minute ago because I had
You live in Florida. It's your own fault, Boomer.
Oh, whatever. Anyway.
but for you, right? For you, right? So here's my thing, right? A little bit more insight. And it really helped. It really, because you asked me one time, you were like, man, Trey, I bet you do receive a lot of fucking hate mail. I do.
Yeah.
More than I, and I think that was like the first time I ever admitted it. And it was like a joke, right? But you like kind of saw through my joke. You kind of called me out on it.
Well, I knew what you were doing, especially on April 1st, but I was like, oh, this just sounds too real.
Yeah. Well, I mean, you gotta come from some form of truth in order to make the lie sound real, right? But here's some insight of the mind of Crazy Trey, right? For you to think like the next time you go into like watching a production, right? And I'm just talking to Troy here. I'm not talking to anyone else. So if anyone else wants to mute me, go ahead. I hate Troy right now, so I gotta go ahead and talk my shit while I can. See, look, I'm cussing and everything. I don't cuss on my channel. Oh, you can cuss. I brought evil Trey to the stage today. And that's this. I've been in nothing professional, mind you, but I have done my own comic series. I've got 4 comics out right now. It's a Star Trek fan-based comic. Everything's digital right now because I don't have this to print up anything to give it away or to sell it away or to donate it away or whatever the hell, right? But I received a shit ton of criticism from it, right? And as I've progressed, as I've moved on, I have been, once again, nothing professional, but I've been a part of several fan film productions, right? Anything going all the way up to semi-pro, like having like full on, like these are SAG actors like on set to like, garage door and everything in between. And I will say this, and I was just in a film here recently that was a film based on actually one of my comics, one of my one shots, written by Jonathan Lane and illustrated by Danny Fu, called Stardate 2245.1. The film itself is called Interlude. If you want to check it out, I think it's already gotten over like some crazy amount of views.
Guys, do you realize how big a get this is to have Max World Entertainment on my channel? This guy's like a real celebrity.
Stop. Anyway, I received a crap ton of like hate from that, like, oh, you were like emotionless. I was a fucking Stan Lee of the film, right? I was like literally like I was like, like not, I mean, because it was my comic and whatever and blah blah blah, but it was like, I mean, I did my best. I thought I did good. My wife thought I did good. My mom thought I did good. My friends and family thought I did good. But I still received criticism from it. And then one of my community members, right? Amazing people. I got some pretty cool people in the community, and I swear they're not. I don't call them fans because they're family. And one of the amazing community members jumped in there and said, oh yeah, well, why don't you just, next time just show them up with your film? Oh,
yeah.
Wait, you haven't made one, professional fan film or otherwise. So why are you talking all this shit again? Where is your room to talk shit? I'm sorry. Where's your PhD in movie making and fucking script directing and script writing and where's your novel? Where's your book? I'm sorry, you don't have one. Then shut the fuck up for a minute and appreciate this production for what it is. And it's like a lot of us forget that. A lot of us are like, no, look at me. I'm sitting in here in my armchair doing my armchair quarterback, and let me tell you right now, fuck these people. And it's like, whoa. The moment that community member said that, I was like, they're right. I mean, it's like, now I remember that film shoot, that film shoot. We were there Friday, Saturday, and Sunday. We had 14-hour work days. Jeez. We're there on our own time. We're there because it's not professional. We're there, because we love to do it. We're there because it's, I mean, and we're up at we're there at the studio at 6 a.m. We are in freaking makeup and dress, right? And on set at 7 a.m. because, breakfast is going to be here at 9:30 and you want to make sure you get your scenes recorded. I mean, hello, I mean, and after that, because lunch ain't coming in until 1:32, and trust me, if your scenes are filming during that time, It's not like they're going to just stop the camera and like, okay, Trey, go ahead and eat. No, man. I mean, come on.
Right.
Time is money, you know. I mean, we're in a studio, or you know what some wonderful people like, you know, you're just in a warehouse. Where's your fucking warehouse with your amazing
Exactly.
sets? You know,
Well,
I mean,
and how
seriously,
many
you know?
professional films are filmed in crazy locations, you know?
Exactly. You
I
know?
mean, you look at the behind the scenes on the Terminator. There were scenes in the Terminator that were filmed after everything had wrapped. They didn't have a license to be out on the street filming in a car, you know, I mean, because they were out of budget. They were, you know.
Look at the last few X-Men movies. I keep seeing they're all standing behind green screens for when they're outside.
Right.
And they're not outside. They're just to make it look like they're outside.
One of the things that Boomer and I have talked about a lot, Trey, is independent films, and how honestly we feel like the future of Hollywood, because of what's been going on in the past couple of years, there's been too much bloat in Hollywood, and they really, sometimes the best films are done on shoestring budgets. You know, we did a rewatch of an independent film by Tom Conkle a couple weeks back. Trouble Is My Business. Most of it filmed in front of a green screen. Honestly, if I hadn't seen his commentary and the behind the scenes, I wouldn't have even realized it. It was that good, you know, and he did it on a shoestring budget. And pardon me, yeah,
Squirrel.
Squirrel.
Sorry,
exactly.
I saw a squirrel in the chat,
But-
and I'm just now reacting to it.
What you do, and again, I want to say again, people, subscribe to Max World Entertainment, because every episode he does, he's focusing on fan films, you know, of all different, you know, production levels, but every single one of them has something of value to it. If nothing else, the spirit of Star Trek, you know. Well, it's not all Star Trek, but, you know.
And the reason why, and I apologize for getting that freaking passionate about saying all that. Just
Don't
then,
ever be
but
apologizing.
that's how I feel, right? And I mean, it's like, and when I see, or what I feel like sometimes is unwarranted criticism, right?
Yeah.
I'm always going to be reminded, you know, of that comment, like, well, okay, bro, well, where's your film?
But
you know, you can show them up with your film, like, you know, when you produce it, it's like, oh wait, you're not even working on one, you know.
I did want to say one thing to kind of temper that, and that's that just because I haven't made a film, or just because I haven't, you know, written, doesn't mean I don't know something. Okay, that's
exactly.
That's kind of like saying, well, just because you haven't walked a mile in my shoes, you can't understand the what I'm going through. I have understanding, I have intelligence, I can imagine, and I have empathy. So I can listen to what you share and empathize with it and understand. And when I watch a movie, I haven't made a movie, but I know when a story is told well and when it's told half-assed.
Exactly. And I'm not saying it, and I'm not saying anything against that.
Yeah, I
but
dropped the link
I think
in
the biggest
stream.
Netter's off ear,
Sorry.
so she wanted to say something real quick.
I'm sorry,
It's
go
like
ahead.
I just dropped a link in the stream for it was a promo that we did for a friend's book, Keeper of the Sins, the Left Hand of God. Troy's in the movie as a priest. He's scary. He's scared everybody there. I'm sitting there
About 100
cracking
pounds
up.
heavier too.
Yeah, it's like I was cracking up during his scene, and everyone else was like taking steps back because they're like, he's being scary.
Like, are you okay, man? I'm like, yeah, I was just acting.
And I had very, very short hair at the time. So see how many times you could pick me out. I have like
She
4 or
plays-
5 different characters
She
in there.
plays
That's
a
me.
male character. She plays a nun. She
Yeah.
plays a bunch
That's
of
awesome.
And all of that was done with a handheld video camera, like sneaking shots
it.
through cemeteries and in a church and all this.
Yeah.
So we fully understand the low budget thing. But take a
Yeah.
look at it. It's actually a pretty
Yeah,
good
and it was just-
trailer.
That's
and it was
great.
just a promotion for a book that 2 books that he had written. But you know, that's what it comes down to. I mean, but you know, despite what I just said, there's a bunch of people out there, and you're highlighting all of them, Trey, that do get out there and write and make shoestring budget films. As you said, I mean, there's some people with, you know, green screens and baling wire and duct tape, and there's others that are bringing in SAG actors. We just watched the one tonight, And I'd seen it. This was like the third time I'd seen it. And Nanette was like, "Hey, that's the guy from The Closer." I'm like, "Yeah, honey, I thought I told you about that."
Well, and let me also be clear, right? And that's why I said at the very beginning, right? Like, everyone is definitely entitled to their opinion and to, I mean, and I'm not claiming to be any kind of expert. I'm the farthest from it. I have no knowledge of expertise on this subject matter whatsoever. But like I said, this is just the insight of my crazy brain. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Because, and when I see what I feel is like unwarranted criticism for like no reason, and because there is a lot of hate in criticism and today's criticism. And a lot of people don't realize that you can criticize without being hateful. You know what I mean? Number one. And number two, not everyone is you, Troy, and not everyone's me.
Right.
Not everyone has
Thank
not everyone has that ability or to even want to empathize or to understand someone else's viewpoint on why they may like or dislike something. Especially right now, and that's why you guys are even talking about it, I'm sure, is because I'm right, you're wrong, and there's not a damn thing you or any of you can say to change my mind. And that kind of, when did we get there? When I had this exact same argument, not an argument, thank goodness. It was actually a conversation with my childhood friend that I actually have known since, seriously, since I was 6 months. I'll be 45 here come February. Since I was 6 months old, right? And we had a conversation, and it was a political, and I don't do politics, but we went ahead and I got into it with them. And it was an exchange back and forth. Because, and I said that, I said, when did we come to that point, right? When did we get there? I mean, when we were kids, I played with G.I. Joe. You played with Transformers. You know what I mean? Mm-hmm. When we were kids, you told me why you like Transformers more. I sat and listened. I told you why I like G.I. Joe more. You sat and listened. When did we get to the point in our lives now, 40, I still need to watch 40 something years later, where we're not listening to each other anymore?
Yeah.
When did it become so absolute? And why is it that way? Right? You are allowed to feel your way. You are allowed to feel. We are all equally allowed to feel the way we feel. It's when we start shitting on each other for how we feel is when it becomes wrong and unnecessary. And that's why I'm so overly positive all the time. That's why I'm so overly, promote what you love and stuff. That's why I'm so like that all the time, because it's everywhere. It's everywhere. And all of us right now, all 14 people watching, and the 3 of us that are on this panel can just drop what we're doing right now, go anywhere. We can walk outside our house. We can go down to the store. We can put on a different social media, and it's right there in front of us. Yeah, it's about slapping us in our face. And when's it enough? Haven't you had enough? Haven't you had enough? Haven't you had enough? Haven't we all had enough? Right? Trey, when is the point of when we just enjoyed something for what it was? If we didn't like it, right? It's like, okay, guess what? Move on. I can remember growing up in the 70s and 80s, sequels never were the original, sequels sucked. I mean, it was like, you knew beyond a shadow of a doubt when there was a sequel of anything coming out, it sucked. Empire Strikes Back broke that mold.
Yep.
And how many can you list on a page in 10 seconds? That's true. You can't. Yeah, I'm sure you can come up with maybe a half a dozen. Right? Maybe a little bit more, but to fill up this, how many lines are on here? About 20 something lines, right? Yeah. In 10 seconds, you can't do it. No. With how many movies are out there? Because why? Sequels suck. We all know it. You know what I mean?
Because they're derivative, right? You blew your wad on the first one, usually.
Did you just say what I think you said?
Yep. Absolutely. Absolutely. And in fact, that's why, that's actually the formula for why Empire did so well. I was just listening to a commentary by Mark Hamill about it. And he was saying, you do a sequel, you almost expect that you're going to come back and you're going to come back and you're going to like rehash what you did previously. And Empire Strikes Back wasn't that.
Well, you're wadding my eye.
Yeah.
Well, you're talking to the guy that loves RoboCop 2, and I'm like the minority there. Okay.
Well, but that was a story that knew what it was about, right? And
Yeah.
and was going, this isn't, I'm just going to rehash what I did before. This is understanding the essence of what it was and moving forward with it and doing something completely different. And Empire Strikes Back also had the benefit of ending on a cliffhanger. It didn't have a happy ending, and that had people shocked. It's like, this isn't Star Wars. This isn't we won and here's your award at the end. This is we lost.
It had a hopeful ending, though.
Oh yeah, there's the upturn. It's not over.
Yeah,
but we didn't win, and I love that. And that's good storytelling. And that's so I mean, I guess I get and I agree with you. Every time you say it, Trey, I'm like, I agree with him. He says, don't bash what you hate. But I do feel like I myself need to be critical of things that I look at and go, you're not honoring what you're trying to do here. You're not honoring the art. You're kind of blaspheming, and I can be critical when I feel that you haven't done well. Look, Trey, you don't even have to respond to this. You probably shouldn't, because what I'm about to say might put you in a tough situation. But my comparison on my channel is when I look at Star Trek Discovery, I tend to hold it up against Prelude to Axanar, and I look at that and I'm like, look, the fans sometimes do the best work. And sorry, I look at what could have been and I struggle. And so it's hard for me not to be critical, and to really sit back and enjoy anything about Star Trek Discovery. But again, that's just me.
Okay. So that being said, I will go ahead and pull up like a perfect example of a movie that I enjoy watching, but not for any of the right reasons.
I like how you preface that.
I mean, let's be honest with one another, right?
Okay.
And that is the latest
Showgirls.
that is the latest Dukes of Hazzard, right?
Oh, that
movie,
that remake that they did?
The remake they did.
Okay.
Yeah, exactly. But of the show. That movie did not hold a candle to the series. It did not hold it had nothing to do with reliving I mean, it was on that, if you were to judge it on that aspect, on that level, fucking movie sucked.
Yeah.
Like, let's be really honest with each other here.
Yeah.
And even the actors and actresses and everyone that worked on the project said as much afterwards. They were like, this was shit, But I'm going to tell you right now, did I enjoy what's her face? Yeah, damn right I did.
Jessica Simpson, was that
she
her
was
name?
very easy on the eyes. Thank you very much.
Sure.
And I'm going to tell you right now, I if you know anything about me, I'm going to freaking acknowledge beauty in all its forms. It doesn't matter if it's a man, woman, robot, cat, dog, car, lake, motorcycle. I don't care. Klingon. Yeah, I don't care.
Darn right, Klingon.
Right? And Riker, right? Picard,
I'm sorry, but Laurel is still the best thing about Star Trek Discovery. Just saying.
But the car was easy on the eyes. The little stunt scenes, I mean, it was all fun to watch. I mean, is it a homage to the series? No, I never said it was.
Yeah.
But do I enjoy watching it? Yep. Why? For all the wrong reasons.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And sadly, that's what I do. I find in things that other people are like, I detest this. Yes, the book. I'm going to tell you right now. It when you get a bunch of writers in a room that have no, seemingly, I don't really know them personally, so I'm not going to speak on their behest, but seemingly no anything on the freaking subject matter of what they're writing episodes about. And after that episode, you get a new one in there, and then you get a new one in there, and then you just get a room full, and then you just get a new one, and then you just get, and then let's change up the director too. Because and then you get another director. No, I tell you what, if you stop right now, no, you know what we need to do right now? No, it's, I mean, I don't blame the actors. I don't blame the camera guy. I don't blame the stage production. I don't blame the visual effect. I do blame the visual effects
all
guy
the time. Exactly.
I do blame the visual effects guy for copying and pasting the same ship 200 times at the end of the episode.
That's lazy.
I cannot let that go. I cannot let that go, especially when I've seen too many videos on YouTube where other people have like fixed it, and you got Voyager showing and Defiant, and everyone's showing up the way they should be showing up, but I find things to enjoy in everything. Like I said, I like the episode when Franks and Marina Sarah just came back. I mean,
that I even all of my Klingon friends that really did not like Star Trek Discovery said, I gotta say, there were some things about seeing the Titan crew and whatnot and all that kind of makes me wish we'd gotten that series, that spin-off series that could have been with Riker and Deanna and, whatever. And they hold that up as that was the best of, that wasn't Discovery. That was Picard, but you know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, I mean, that's exactly it. And I will say this too. We tend to, when we hear people bashing, we tend to, and sometimes even those of us on this stream, some of my friends will say this all the time, but let's be intellectually honest about it. We tend to say, this person who's a writer or director, they don't even know comic books. They've even said they're not Grogu. Chicky nuggies. I'm sorry. I'm always going to go back to the chicky nuggies. They will always say, I am not a comic book fan, and will always say, well, then why are you writing a comic book movie? I will be the first one to step in and say, now, wait a minute. Nick Meyer was not a Star Trek fan, and he wrote arguably the best. Well, no, he was he the writer? He was the director. He directed the best Star Trek movie, and that was Wrath of Khan. Now, why was that? He may not have been a Star Trek fan, but he put the effort in, and he went and he watched some Star Trek, and he goes, oh, I get what this is. And sometimes that person that comes from the outside who isn't a fan can come to it from the outside and go, I see what this is, key into what made it a success, distill it down to what's important, and then do something brilliant. And I feel that's what it was. He pulled out the elements that were essentially Star Trek and amped them up and made it great. And he brought into it the drama and the storytelling and the gravitas and the verisimilitude. We say the same thing about Superman, right? When we talk about the Christopher Reeve Superman, okay, Richard Donner was not a comic book fan, but he came to it and he goes, I don't get comic books, but I get the character now that I've looked into it. And the way to do this is not to do it tongue in cheek. Verisimilitude. We've got to come at it seriously. If this was real, what would Superman be? And when you look at that scene, and I'm quoting so many people in our community, including, Tom from Midnight's Edge and so many others who said that scene with Lois Lane and Superman, when, Superman says, I stand for truth, justice, and the American way. And Lois responds very black-pilled. Well, then you're going to be fighting every elected official in the country. And his response is so pure. Surely you don't mean that, Lois. And you realize that not only does she not truly mean that, but he definitely doesn't believe that. He really is what he claims to be. He is a super man. And it has nothing to do with his powers. It has to do with his character. And Donner understood that, and Christopher Reeve understood that, and it comes through in the story. You know? And that's what people respond to. And is Superman a perfect movie? No, there's some goofiness. There's the whole turn back the world. There's, all kinds of goofiness there. But you look past that because the bottom line is the story is there. The heart is there. And I feel like the things that we struggle with the most in fandom is when that heart isn't there.
Okay, so first I got to go ahead and interrupt real quick and disagree with you on one thing. Everyone who is on this planet, alive, living, dead, not even born yet, knows beyond a shadow of a doubt that the Christopher Reeve Superman is the best all-time Superman of all time. That man made every single one of us
You're not going to get an argument from me.
believe that a man could fly.
Amen.
Right? Number one. Number two, I also want to just add one last thing. I totally agree with everything you're saying. I feel you had mentioned earlier that I cover a lot of people on my channel that, it's seemingly like their fan film productions are better than some of the professional stuff that we're getting today. And I've heard this many, many times.
Yeah.
And I feel one of the reasons for that, and I think this goes pretty much a lot with what you guys might have been talking about before, right? I didn't know if you knew that you guys were tiptoeing around it or not, but I'm just going to go ahead and bring it to a head. And that is, it doesn't matter if it's a nickel and dime budget.
Yeah.
Right. Or if it's a crowdfunding budget that's raised over, $1.2 million, like Axonar did, or any of the productions in between. These fan film productions, right? And of course, I know there's like arguments here and there about different people in different places. And I'm not talking about the fucking drama behind everything. I'm just talking about fan film productions in general versus the professional stuff that we're seeing right now, and why it's seemingly that the fan film stuff is better than the professional stuff. It's because the fan film guys don't care about this.
Yeah.
They're not interested in making money. They're not interested in turning their product into a buck, right? And yes, some people are going to argue that, well, no, this fan film production is, or this one is, or I'm not talking about those people.
Yeah.
I'm talking about all of them as a whole in general, right? Fan film producers, fan film showrunners, fan film makers, right? They're not thinking about the dollar sign at the end of the day. At the end of the day, the only thing they're thinking about is the story. The only thing they're thinking about is, does it respect canon? The only thing that they're thinking about is the audience that I've acquired, my fan base, will they enjoy it? Will it please them, right? Will it please me? Will I be happy with it at the end of the day? Because I gave this everything, my heart, my soul, my blood, my tears, my mortgage, my everything I had to make this film happen. You know what I mean? They're not thinking about, let me turn around and market it and let me see if I can get money, based on, ticket sales. They're not thinking about, action figures, that are that can be based on the same, movie or what. They're not thinking about any of that. The only thing they're thinking about is the movie itself, the film itself, the story itself, the production itself. Is this how it looks when we all watched it back in the late 60s? You know what I mean? Is this the same kind of feel, aesthetic? That's all they care about. People on the professional side, the first thing they think about is like, can I sell this story? That's the first thing they think about. Can I sell this story to the studio?
Well,
can I sell this idea? Right. And then what does the studio do? The studio's like, well, can I sell this? How can we sell this? Well, we need to please all the woke people. We need to please all the teens and the tweens. We need to get that female, or we need to get that, different colored, nation.
Yeah.
We need to get all those. How do we sell this? That is the only thing that's on their mind. And sadly, the story, and if it comes close to representing or, holding a candle to all that is second, because that's not what's making them money. That's not what's going to make them money. That's not what's going to put money in their pay. You know what I mean? And yes, someone said it earlier, and I agree with this person, and they might have been agreeing with something that I was saying, and that's fine. I don't care, but I agree with them. Audience is king, right?
Yeah.
The audience is king. And audience is going to know straight off the bat if you made it for money or if you made it because you loved it.
Yeah.
Because I'm going to tell you right now, I have seen all the different types of productions on my channel everything from where the uniform is. I mean, you can clearly see the close clip.
Yeah.
Right. You can clearly see the close clip, clipping this guy's uniform to give it that tight look around the neck.
Yep.
To everything to where, this is like hundreds of thousands of dollars of camera equipment and lighting and smoke stuff and rental usage for this, I've seen everything. And the only thing that they care about, the only thing is the story, is their heart and blood and sweat and tears. Will someone else like it? I mean, they hope they will, what I mean? But they're not looking to put a dollar sign on it and be like, buy my film because I've just made it.
So
the professionals are.
One of the things we talk about a lot here is oftentimes when you have two extreme views, usually the truth lies somewhere in the middle. And I would say that there is truth on both sides. Okay. The Hollywood mentality is you want to make a movie, it takes money. And the artist says, well, wait a minute, but you're not going to make money if you don't have the story and the fans. So the truth is in the middle. And, to quote Gordon Gekko, greed, for lack of a better word, is good. If their profit motive is to make profit, great. But understand what makes the money. What makes the money is the fans coming and watching your film and watching the next film and buying the action figures and so forth. Why do they do that? Because it was a great story with all the heart and everything that goes into it. So, there's that. Now, on the other side of what you were also alluding to, look at some of your favorite episodes of Star Trek. Which were your favorites? Probably not. I mean, yes, you could point to the big ones like Best of Both Worlds and things like that, which had big battles in them and lots of special effects. But most people generally will say original series, City on the Edge of Forever. Next Generation, Measure of a Man. Okay. I don't know. There's a lot of next gen episodes that I can think of, and I can go through each different series, and I'm not thinking of titles off the top of my head, but generally the ones that the two that I said by name and others that you can mention are ones that don't have a lot of battles, that don't have a lot of phaser fire, that don't have a lot of special effects. They all take place in one room, low budget, and it's about the story, right? Measure of a Man mostly takes place in the established sets and in a courtroom. And it's a bare bones courtroom where they are fighting for Data's right to exist. It's all cerebral. Another Data episode, The Offspring. I defy you, if you are a Star Trek fan, to watch that episode. I don't care how many times you've seen it, and not be in tears by the end of that episode. That story, with as fast as his man's hands moved, he couldn't keep ahead of the cascade failure.
I remember that.
Oh my gosh. And then when she thanks her father for her life as she dies, that's just, man, that... Boomer, what you were asking about earlier, why is it I am polite to Alexa and treat her with the respect that I would treat a human being? It's for that reason. Because someday, you never know, when those inanimate objects might actually have feelings.
Well,
It's not for them. It's for myself.
My
to maintain
episode is-
my own humanity.
My episode is the Inner Light,
Oh,
where she goes to remind him to put up it. Oh my! I'm gonna lose my shit right now. Just
I
even-
know, man,
I can't even
right?
say the whole line because it's like, I mean, that's like, anyway, the Inner Light for me. Sorry.
right? Absolutely. And and it's that kind of writing, that kind of heart. That's why when you see in a later episode or in one of the movies and you see that flute on his desk, or you see the Mintakin, whatever that thing is, over his chair, that he got from the little Vulcanoid girl, on that one, those callbacks, they're not just throwaway Easter eggs, for no reason, just fan service. They are the heart of those characters, and it demonstrates that the writer and the director understood that.
Hey,
We've talked on this channel, and I'm sure people in your stream, Trey, were saying in the chat during one of the films, there is a parody of Star Trek, a Star Trek: The Next Generation adult parody that exists that most people agree in many ways is better writing than some of the current Star Trek that's out there. If you take out all the sex scenes, it actually comes off as a good episode of Star Trek: The Next Generation. Trey, I don't know if you know what I'm talking about, but that's okay. Let's just pretend you don't. That's fine. But in that parody, Picard has the flute on his desk and he even picks it up as though he's going to play it. That tells me those writers understood the character. They knew what they were doing. That says a lot to fans. And Trey, just so you know, that parody that I'm referring to is out there on the interwebs in an edited version that is PG-13-ish, perfectly okay to watch, if you want to check it out.
do you remember the episode of TNG where Picard went home right after the whole situation with the Borg and visited his brother?
Yes.
Yeah.
Oh, that's a good one too.
Yeah.
That's a great one too.
And that's where that was, from the point of view of episodic television, I credit that episode with the change in the trend in television from standalone episodes to arcs, over seasons and series, where something that happens now has ramifications later. Now it hit a peak when you get to like the Babylon 5 era, and if you come in the middle of it, you're completely lost. Who are these characters? What are they doing? I don't know what's going on here, but there is that continuity.
Real quickly, I want to. Sir Torin Clegan says, Turbicelli, I feel like he used the flute for something else. He did. Later in the series, a love interest comes on board that plays.
That's right.
That plays the piano, and the two of them end up. Is because of the episode The Inner Light, his music is very, very personal to him, and so he doesn't like just share it with anyone, and he ends up sharing it with this woman that can play. That's the piano
another
stuff.
Great example of callbacks to previous stories. So they kind of underscored there's a question at the end of that, and it's not a serious question. I think it's pretty obvious that at the end of that episode, he's lived a whole nother life in the span of an hour.
Yeah.
He lived, grew old, got married, had kids, and died.
For all intents and purposes, yep.
And he came away with all of that life experience. And if it wasn't clear enough that the whole point of that artifact was to convey a story of these people for him to remember, then you have that callback where he still knows how to play that flute. He didn't know how to play the flute at the beginning, and he was barely getting Frere Jacques out.
Yeah.
Until then he's composing his own tune. He came away with something.
Oh,
and boy, I guess that's what I'm getting at. good art, good films, good storytelling, you come away with something. You come away enriched. Now, I love the positive aspect that you put on it, Trey. You look for the good to come away from it. Even in crap, you somehow find the good kernels. And I love that about you, but we all expect it. It's not worth it if you can't come away with it enriched by it, because that's what happens. That's what happens to fandoms. If they lose interest because it's not there anymore, they go away and they go find something else. And there's always somebody in my stream saying, Troy, have you seen My Hero Academia? And Troy, have you read this manga? And have you done this? And have you done that? Because there's always something else.
Well, I wanted to bring up the point you're making right now, and it kind of goes back to even what Trey was saying about why people are so angry these days and what's going on. In the olden days, I'll be honest with you, I was a kid and I was a big Captain Kirk fan. That was Star Trek to me. Mr. Spock, I saw the big screen movies, would occasionally watch the old series, and then TNG was starting. And then I see Wesley Crusher, and I see some pretty bad episodes up for a season. And I said, I'm done with Star Trek. And there was this British science fiction show I heard good things about called Doctor Who. And I started getting into Doctor Who. And then that got canceled. But then by then, TNG had gotten good again. So then I started watching TNG again.
Yeah.
But the issue, I think, is right now, and even with, I know some people love the Star Wars prequels. That's fine. They weren't my favorites, but I didn't care because I had Lord of the Rings. Okay, you had the Lord of the Rings movies out. Yeah. But right now, I think part of it has to do with the pandemic. Part of it is just, I don't know if there's like a synchronous thing with all the studios doing things, but like you don't have those other things to latch onto. Like in the old days, I might have been like, okay, I don't like this Kathleen Kennedy Star Wars, but wow, they're really doing great things with Star Trek now. Well, you know, and then okay, well, those aren't working. Well, what about Doctor Who? And that's the one that really broke my heart, is Doctor Who out of all three of those. And you know, and then you'll look for other things. Like I know there are some people out there that love The Expanse, so maybe I should start watching that.
I know that's one of the ones people keep recommending.
It feels like one. I think a lot of production shut down because of the pandemic, so we're not getting a lot of new things, so we can't latch on to the alternate thing. I mean, think about the big show like the last decade was Game of Thrones, and people loved it, and then they had that finale which a lot of people were not happy about. And it seems like right now we're in this weird state of flux where there's no alternatives coming out. Like that's what I would have done when I was younger. I would just find the other thing, and I don't know. I mean, I can watch older movies too and discover things like I was talking about on the last stream run. I was watching Jerry Anderson's UFO, and that was a cool little science fiction series from 1970.
Yeah.
But, you know, I think right now, and I think part of it is to do with the pandemic restraints, and other part of it is also because of the whole political thing. But
real quick, let me give a shout out to
finding those alternatives. That's all. Yeah, go ahead.
Quick, let me give a shout out to Sci-Fi Nation. Thanks so much for following Trey over here. I just subscribed to your channel, and I highly recommend everyone else do so as well. Sci-Fi Nation, I see you are a Star Trek Online fan. We need to talk, my friend. It's the only, Boomer will tell you, I know nothing about video games. The only thing that I play is Star Trek Online. And again, going back to exactly what we were talking about, the writers over there at Star Trek Online are clearly Star Trek fans. They have gone through all the lore, and I do mean all the lore. They are contractually, by license, obligated to acknowledge everything, whether they like it or not. And they find ways to make all this stuff that doesn't seem to fit. And they do an incredible job.
Oh, I like Sci-Fi Nation's comment there. Like my dad was a big original series fan. He grew up with it. TNG came out in 87 and I was 11, and he wanted to be mad about TNG, but it was one of the few things that we had in common, our love of Trek. It's weird. For me, my dad, it was Superman, because my dad was a big Superman fan. His introduction to Superman was actually the radio show, because he was an older fellow. But
yeah,
and in the comics, obviously, of the time.
Did he make the translation to the Adventures of Superman with George Reeve? Okay.
No, I don't know if he ever. He never mentioned that one. It's weird. I'm surprised he never brought that one up. I think he liked the Christopher Reeve movie. I tried getting him into Superman the animated series, but some people, they just can't watch anything animated. because that was my Superman.
Can
Was Superman the
Can
animated
I just
series.
say something? Talking about, sharing these things with your parents and whatnot.
Yeah.
I do have to say, I went to the theater. Yeah, most of these films you saw in the theater because this was for us old folks. This was before they even had VHS, right? So I went to the theater with my mom and saw Superman, and she thought it was so hysterical when he looks at the half phone booth. That there's no way for him to, and she thought that was so funny because she remembers the George Reeve,
Of course.
and stuff. And then she took me to see Superman 2. That was a little uncomfortable. There's this one line where in the movie where someone says, "Where's Superman?" And she says, it's a quiet part in the audience, and she says, "He's shacking up with Lois Lane." I'm like, "Oh, Mom, please."
Oh.
No.
She wasn't wrong, but
No, she wasn't, but I was like, "Oh, Mom." Ugh. I mean, that was an uncomfortable enough scene to be watching with my mom sitting there,
And then
It's
he's
like,
getting his butt kicked in that diner.
wasn't that? I'll tell you what, though. Talk about a story arc. That whole bit where he gives up his powers, gets beaten up, and then comes back and sets things right again. That was some good stuff too. Yes,
In fact,
exactly, Trey. The I've been working out.
Yeah, he goes, "Oh, I've been working out."
In fact, was that Richard Donner as the bully in the diner?
Oh, was it?
I think it was. It's
It
funny.
could very
yeah.
well have been. You might be right. I don't know offhand.
Yeah.
Yeah, the second one was not perfect. That was
I love the second one. The second one was great.
the second one was great, but not as great as the Donner cut. Let's be honest. We're all talking about the Schneider cut, but the Donner cut came first.
Right.
Very true.
But
Very true.
this is another thing we talk about here. A lot of the things that we sometimes have problems with, we're so quick to point to the writer, the director, even worse, the actors, and it's not their fault. Blaming an actor, in my opinion, is like blaming a canvas for a bad painting. Okay, that's just not fair. Okay, but I think a lot of things that go wrong are really because of studio interference. Let the artist put their product out there, let it stand on its own merits. If you believe enough in somebody to hire them on to do a job, let them do the darn job. That's all I'm saying. And but I also understand the business end of it. When you look at the whole history behind the Sulkides and Donner and Mankiewicz and all that, I get it. He was trying to do 2 movies back to back. This was before we had Lord of the Rings. This was before we had Back to the Future, where multiple films were filmed together. Okay. So when he was doing it, that was a budget they were scared of, So I don't know. I mean, but that's an example of they changed something in midstream. I see where Donner was going with it. I think it would have been a much better film. Would it have been perfect? No. There were also some great things about Mankiewicz, but cellophane-esque. That's all I'm going to say about that.
So real quickly, I gotta go. My wife keeps telling me that dinner is ready, and I'm like,
dude, you're eating dinner now?
well, yeah, man.
This is how your night goes? And you want to try squeezing a D&D game in too?
My schedule's not your schedule.
No, that's fine. I'm just blown
Don't
away.
talk to me no more. I hate you.
Oh yeah, you hate me.
Way to go, Troy.
Right.
Seriously
Thank
though,
you so much
Trey,
for having me on tonight. I really do appreciate it.
if you do
H.
want a
Boomer didn't
D&D
to
game,
come
let
in
me know.
and be like, because H. Boomer was like, "Oh, let's let little positive goody two shoes
No.
It's fine. I'm
say
not
his speech, and as soon as he gets out of here, man, I'm gonna rip his.
No.
ass and-
I will not be doing that. In
That's
fact,
cool. Hey, dude, it's cool. Hey, you know what? Trust me. You are looking at.
That's okay.
the
He
boy.
knows he can come back and watch it on the rewind and see what we say about it.
I talk
Exactly.
a really big game, but you were looking at the most zenest out on the planet right now.
Yeah.
I got the most thickest skin. It's like, dude, I'm like Sunday morning every morning. And when you're like, what does that mean? Easy.
Yeah.
All right, with that,
Thanks so
Love you
much,
guys.
buddy. I'll talk to you later.
That's
Thanks
fine.
for being here.
Thanks for
Bye-bye.
showing up.
You know what? But as long as he's on his way out, I'm going to bring in another old friend of ours. Let's all say hi to Wolf 10 Media real quick. Woo! who promised he wasn't going to sing tonight. I'm going to hold you to that. I got my
Yes.
finger over the remove button. How you doing, buddy?
I'm doing great. This is gonna be my last Friday with you guys. That's why
Oh.
I'm making a promise now. Like
Oh, that's right. You did say you were going to start a
work
new job
next
Mhm.
Friday. Not new job. Work is reopening next Friday. I do want to change jobs though.
Okay.
That's still part of the plan.
Well, while you're still there, you're contributing to an industry we feel strongly about. So
Yep.
thank goodness
Yeah,
for you.
I'll be curious to see what you see in like how audiences are now, and stuff like that, and what's going to be going on with. You might have that might be a good stream for you to do on one of your Tuesday Thursdays things. Well, of course, I don't know what you're allowed to talk about or not, but I mean, I'm curious.
I've shared plenty of what happened in my theater every once in a while.
Hey guys, Netter's got a question.
No, not a question. I just want to say to Wolfie, I'm glad you're going back to work. That's got to be a great feeling.
Yeah, she knows that feeling.
Right.
I wish I could sound a bit more excited about it. I'm not even sure what I'm going back to. I don't know if the rules are going to change or
Well-
there's some concerns on my
Going back
end.
to a paycheck.
Well, yeah, there's something to be said for that, right? Going back to a paycheck.
I keep repeating that mantra in my head, Ma Pacelli.
But yeah, so earlier today, and you guys probably already saw this, I shared in the fans fight back against the DC or against the Disney Star Wars. Yeah, they all kind of run together.
I'll
in
be
my
the
head,
next
you know?
group.
There's
It's coming. Okay.
there's a YouTuber that I follow. Well, I started following him after I saw this, although I've seen a bunch of his videos. Tasting History with Max Miller. And Max is what he was is somebody who used to work at the Disney parks. And he did things like he played Smee in their performance of their onstage performance related to Peter Pan and stuff like that. And he's been out of work for a while because the parks had closed down, right? And he was just saying in his most recent videos, or his most recent video period, that he had to make the decision because they asked him back, and he was like, do I go back to working for Disney or do I, try to make a go of this YouTube thing? Cause I can't do both. And he opted, I'm going to stick with YouTube. I'm enjoying it. And I'm, he didn't say anything negative about Disney. Okay. And I think I don't know the guy. I don't know what his background is, but at least that's a professional way to do it. You don't burn your bridges, right? So he said, I made the decision to, but I wanted to hold that up because I'm going, look, a lot of people are doing this. They're making their decisions. Do I go back to this industry that laid me off, or am I going to blaze another path? And I think a lot of people are being put in that position, having to make that decision, but yeah, anyway, I was just drawing that connection there. So what are you up to tonight, Wolfie? What are you sipping on?
It was Sprite.
That's good.
I'm finishing up this boss fight on this game right now. But
What game are you playing?
Sonic Adventure.
Oh, that's a classic.
Yep. It's on the Xbox One.
Is that a side scroller or is that one of those 3D-ish
It's
ones that
Sonic,
I could never
man.
figure out?
It's the first Sonic that was done in 3D, right?
Yeah. Well, I think it was 3D Blast until they actually fully made it complete 3D with Sonic Adventure.
This came out on the Dreamcast. I have it on the GameCube, actually. I have the GameCube version.
Yeah.
Guys, I was never those 3D games. I had a really hard time with.
Oh, you call me the boomer. Okay.
ever since Zaxxon. Do you remember Zaxxon?
You're kidding me, right? Zaxxon.
Wow. Zaxxon.
We're not talking about 3D glasses, dude.
No. The diagonal scroller that I could never tell how far forward and back I was, and I always crashed.
Well, that's more like 3D Blast. That had kind of a diagonal scrolling thing.
Yeah.
This is more like a polygonal, like you're in a 3D world type of thing. You know.
The Return of the Jedi arcade game was like that. Hated that game. kept walking right into those boulders and those trees that they were dropping
Yeah,
on.
no, it's funny. No one ever talks about that arcade game. They always talk about the first two. They talk about the Empire one and the original
only
Star Wars.
arcade game I ever played was the Star Wars one that came like during the 90s.
Oh, the Sega one. Yeah, that's pretty
Yeah.
nifty. If you ever got to see that one, Troy, they had it at a movie theater I used to go to.
Yeah, almost every movie theater, even arcade spots.
Yeah,
Was that the one where you had three? You could play in all three eras.
Yep.
I think so. Yeah,
You could play. You could play. You play Hoth. You play Indoor.
Yeah, that was pretty cool. Yeah.
And then you got the bonus section where you fight Boba Fett. I could never beat Boba Fett, but
Well,
I
of
could
course
easily
not.
he just blast you. But like,
he's the best. I'm sorry.
but like when I got to Darth Vader, I was just owning him. He barely even got a chance to swing at me. That's how well.
That's
when
how I
young-
was with Mortal Kombat whenever I played Liu Kang. My stepson used to get pissed because I'd fire the fireball and I'd do the bicycle kick, and he's like, I can't even get a punch in. I'm like, well, you got to get faster.
You know, they killed him off. Sorry. Okay.
Guys, I want to
Daily
shout
lives.
out. I just saw that Red Shirt Diaries just joined. Please do yourself a favor. Go subscribe to Red Shirt Diaries. Watch the whole Red Shirt Diaries series, because as fan films go, that is, I see that as like Rosencrantz and Guildenstern are dead. It is that level of writing. It's told from the point of view of a red shirt character.
Oh.
It's basically a bunch of the episodes of the original series told from a Lower Decks point of view, and it is hysterical. I tried watching it. You know how I'll have like a YouTube videos playing while I'm working. I had to turn it off and watch after work because I was laughing so hard I couldn't concentrate on anything else. I almost peed myself. It was really that good. So please go check that one out. That is some good stuff.
Now, Bourne was about to shut himself up about Daily Alliance, dude. It's not really a spoiler. They fixed that in Mortal Kombat 11.
Oh no, my iTunes. No, I know. I know that my iTunes popped on it. Started playing the Lost Highway soundtrack for some. That was the last CD it was importing. You know, what I'm
Angelo
talking about.
Badalamenti. Oh, that is some good music.
And anyway, they killed off Liu Kang in Mortal Kombat Deadly Alliance.
Shang Tsung
and the other guy, the other wizard,
Quan Chi
decided we're going to team up. And the first thing they do is they double team.
They kill Shao Kahn, and then they get on Liu Kang.
That's right. You got to kill the top bad guy and the top good guy. So they went after Liu Kang and they snapped his neck. And
somehow they retconned that in Defiance.
Yeah,
Defiance?
I don't know. Well, how it was he was turned into like a zombie type.
Deception.
He was made into like a zombie type character later on, right? Like,
Yeah,
he came back and like his neck is flopping all over the place because he.
Yeah. They showed that. Armageddon. That was a neat trick.
They reason they did that in Deadly Alliance, I think, because Liu Kang was just too powerful and everybody always picked him, and they were like, no, we can't have like one character that like.
I just thought that was a narrative change.
Well, I always thought it was because he was like the go-to, like the most powerful. I don't know.
Everybody I knew picked Scorpion only, and I was mostly a Sub-Zero main.
Yeah, Sub-Zero is very popular. Who did I like? I like Jax. I also liked
Yeah, Jax was good.
Kung Lao. I like Kung Lao as well. I like those two.
Oh yeah, Kung Lao. Yeah, I was always Kung Lao, and Shaolin Must. My brother played Liu Kang.
Yeah,
when we played that game together.
I was never that good at it though. Well, how about you, Troy?
I do not serve.
I don't really know the story really well, so I can't really speak to that.
I'm not excited for the live action movie they're coming out with because of you probably know what I'm talking about.
What aren't you happy about? I've only saw the first preview. I didn't think it looked
that
bad.
blackwash Melina.
What? Oh,
It doesn't make narrative sense.
I always figured she was Asian anyway.
Well, she's a clone of Katana who canonically is Asian. I'm like, why is she black? Why is she black? Why is she black? She's a clone of Katana. Why is she black? You better have a narrative reason why she's black.
I think there are other black female characters in those games
Jade.
anyway, right? So yeah, so there
Tanya.
you go. It's
And as a
one
matter
of
of fact,
those.
that's another question I had. Why is she in part 1 when she shows up in part 2?
Yeah, they said there's no Johnny Cage either. People were
Oh,
wondering about that too.
there's
but-
Well, this
so
is the kind of stuff, canon matters, and this is the kind of stuff where fans go, if you're not going to take this seriously, why should we even bother with this?
yeah.
And again, it's if you don't have the fans, then why are you using a fandom? It's they do this over and over and over again. I get it from a financial standpoint. You want as big an audience as possible. The way you do that is not by jettisoning your established fan base in the hopes of drawing in, the normies. The way you do it, I see. Let me back up. This whole concept of normie, people, this isn't the 80s anymore. Okay. This isn't, a bunch of jocks driving by going nerds. Okay. Geek
No, they
culture,
became nerds.
geek culture has very much changed. All that geeky stuff, that nerdy stuff is cool now. Okay. Good looking people are doing cosplay these days,
So what's
and
the
going
nerdy
to
stuff now?
conventions and doing streaming, talking about this stuff and making buttloads of money. Okay. This is, and the biggest franchises are now the geeky things. The main line has become the geeks. The main line is now the fans. If you get rid of the fans, you're getting rid of your mainline audience. That's all there is to it. So if you're what they're really reaching out to, the people they think are the normies, they think are the main lines, are very radical groups that have these very fringy. They're not going to keep you alive if that's all you have.
Right.
That's the problem. So these people in Hollywood need to understand that. This whole idea, like I was talking about the whole Nick Meyer thing, I don't know Star Trek, but I understand the concept and do it well. Instead of these people who not only do I not understand it, but I have nothing but scorn for people that read comic books or whatever, then why are you trying to cater to them? When you hate your audience, you're never going to put out a good product that people are going to like. And darn right, I'm not sure if I should be reading that as Senior Helpers.
I read Senior Helpers.
Senior Helpers, absolutely. Nerds are sexy,
Or
I mean,
Sir
they
Helper.
They are. There is something to be said for a girl wearing glasses. Let me just say. Anyway.
But I have a question for you though. If the nerdy stuff is the quote unquote cool stuff, what's now the nerdy stuff? What's now the not cool stuff where you're into it? People look at you.
You guys mentioned anime, right? They're a lot of
you
people
know,
like.
Oh, go ahead.
I'm
What you're gonna say? What are you gonna say, Wolfton?
You bring up the point of nerds being sexy. Why do you think Toriyama keeps Gohan with the glasses?
Yeah.
Oh, okay. You're
Oh
right.
no,
Dragon Ball.
absolutely. You know what? You put me in a bad position here, Boomer, by asking that question.
Well, there may not be an answer. I'm just curious.
No, there is an answer.
Okay.
But you're asking me this question while I have Wolf 10 Media on the stream. Because if I'm going to point to something that, people, talk about and get excited about, and it's kind of fringy and people look at you weird like they did to nerds in the 80s, I'm going to have to say the furry stuff.
Ah,
I mean, you say that, I was like,
why you gotta say my profession out like that?
Because kind of is.
You ain't gonna call it the code word that I usually call it? My profession.
Yeah, well, I mean,
Wolf 10, what is your profession? Furries.
I do the cosplay
my
thing,
friend,
right? So
I brought more fur coats than you.
I do understand. I'm looking at, do I want to work my legs and really work my ankles and my lower legs so that I could pull off digigrade stilts? so that maybe I could, put on a muscle suit and do Feklar at some convention, the Klingon demon. Maybe might be kind of cool. Don't know. So I get the idea behind it. I've been looking at those digigrade shoes that they make online. There's this one gal that has an Etsy store where
Yeah.
you can get like hooves and dog pads and stuff. Basically, what they are is they're converted high heels without the heel,
Yeah.
and then she builds, the thing around it.
There's some that went above beyond, Troy. There's actually a helmet that actually has a animatronic anthro head now.
Have you seen what's his name? The guy from Mythbusters.
I barely watch Mythbusters.
Oh gosh,
Jamie Hyneman or Adam Savage?
Adam Savage. Adam Savage has done his own Chewbacca mask. And
nice.
Oh my gosh. And it's of course molded exactly to his face, so that when he wrinkles up his face and does his forehead, it actually, works little servos inside to pull back the teeth and pull back the forehead. And oh my gosh, it's some good stuff, let me tell you. It's pretty darn impressive. Yeah, what people are doing.
I remember to research that.
There's incredible. But yes, thank you, Sci-Fi Nation. Adam Savage, Netter got to me first, but yeah, that's some really good stuff. In fact, I'll tell you what, Adam Savage is someone you should be following on YouTube too. He does these 1 day builds and whatnot, and he makes these props and whatnot. He is talk about a nerd. With the money to do what he wants to do, I tell you, and he does the kind of.
He did the maze for The Shining.
I was just thinking about that. He does the kinds of things I would do if I had the time and the money. And he did the model hedge maze from The Shining. And as he was doing it, he's going, well, it doesn't really link up between this scene and the map that's in front and the this and that. And so he does the best he can to make this. I'm like, this is the way I would think about it if I was doing stuff.
Okay,
like
so it's how you enjoy something. Like there's that famous. I did like it when they were promoting The Force Awakens, and they had, I think J.J. Abrams was on with Harrison Ford, and they were on Conan O'Brien, and like one guy came on and he's like, "We have a man who works for us has a question for you," and he's saying. He's explaining how the lightsaber was made and how the first version, he's saying all this technical jargon, and one version had 4 grips and another version had 5. Which version is being used in The Force Awakens? And then Harrison Ford answers, "Is that the one?" And Harrison Ford goes, "Maybe," or no, he doesn't give a direct answer. And like he's going,
he
through all
doesn't
these,
know. Yeah,
I know, but he's going through all these details, like he had investigated what was used to make it, how many grips, the graphite,
Graflex, yeah.
Things that well, maybe you I don't know if you know about it, but that I never even thought.
Oh
about.
yeah. I've mentioned a couple times. I mentioned it during the last rewatch of the Star Wars Holiday Special. Netter got me actually a bunch of Graflex grips. The actual ones that were used for the Holiday Special lightsaber. Keep in mind that there was not an expectation that there was going to be a sequel to Star Wars at the time. So all the props were taken elsewhere. They were taken back by the property company. So the original lightsaber went away and they didn't have access to it for the Holiday Special. So the property master had to recreate one, and it was hard to get that original Graflex handle. So he got a later model and kind of customized it. Well, those are actually easier to find now, and Nanette got a bunch of them, and I'm going to be making a Holiday Special version of Luke Skywalker's lightsaber.
And if any of y'all want a Graflex handle, let me know.
Yeah, you can hit us up if you're really, really interested. If you want to get one, they're not terribly expensive. I can hook you up. But yeah, I mean, I totally and I also do happen to have an original Graflex. It cost me about $300 back in the 80s. I can only imagine what they go for now, but yeah, I've got those. And yes, I know that since then the FX versions out there are really, really, really good, but I just love the fact that I actually have an original Graflex.
Hey, well, good for you.
No, it doesn't hum. It doesn't. You can't put an acrylic blade in it or anything like that. But I don't care. It's
Oh, apparently there was some article about lightsabers now being offered at Galaxy's Edge that are supposed to be a big deal.
yeah. I've heard that they're pretty good.
Like there's
Um,
new ones coming out or something.
Yeah, I mean, and a lot of people are saying, those are the kind of lightsabers we wanted as kids growing up. I mean, okay, so here's the old fart sharing about the good old days again, right?
Uh,
The first lightsaber that hit the market in 77. Do you remember it, Boomer?
no, is that the one with the balloon?
Yes, essentially
Okay.
what it was a black lightsaber with an extended top on it that had this blow up blade that came out of it. And you had to blow it up and it was yellow.
Awesome.
And it was yellow. That was the crazy thing. Now, the
Like
fact
Ray's
is,
lightsaber.
you could yeah, exactly. You could change the gel in it if you wanted to, if you were to just, go out and buy, a red or blue or whatever, but it came with yellow, and the blade itself, the plastic vinyl was yellow. So, and I'll tell you what, they were cheap. They were cheap. You'd blow it up, you'd beat your brother with it a couple times and it would pop. And my mom patched that thing so many times. She used clear nail polish. She used super glue, and it just didn't stay. It was not made for the beating that kids were going to use it for, right? So come Empire Strikes Back, the next one that came out looked vaguely like, the lightsaber handle, but it was a little oversized, and it had this long plastic tube. And what was great about that was twofold. One, you actually could beat each other with it and do the whole lightsaber battle. And as you'd move it around, it would make that sound, woo, 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 right? Because it had like a whistle inside of it.
Whoa.
Those were you never saw those?
I never saw one myself. I want to say my memory says that there was a blaster you could buy that made sound effects and lit up.
There was and it came out at the same time as that blow up lightsaber, and it lasted through Return of the Jedi. It was styled after Han Solo's, the one that was made from a Mauser base. And you'd put the batteries in it, and just like the X-Wing fighter and the TIE fighter and all of the other guns that came out, the way it made noise was when you hit the trigger, it started a rotor, a motor inside, and it would go. That was the blast sound. Yeah.
I remember being a kid. I think I wanted that from Santa. I don't know if I knew what to ask for, so wrote down laser gun. That's not what I ended up getting, but what I did get was pretty neat. It was like a really neat light up laser gun that made all sorts of sound effects.
Made different sounds.
Yeah, and I don't know. I don't think it was licensed. I don't know if it was even. It didn't feel cheap. So I don't think it was licensed by Star Wars. Though.
It was
just
probably
generic,
an off-brand, because at that time there was some off-brand stuff out there that was actually pretty good. And I would look at this, go, why is it that this gun that looks like Han Solo's gun, that looks great, makes this horrible sound, and yet this cheap knockoff that my grandmother got me makes 3 different sounds, and it sounds like the gun from this movie and from this movie and from this movie, and it's got lights. And I was like, even back then I was thinking, if I knew how to work with electronics and stuff, I could take these apart and I could put them together, and I could, well, now I'm old enough to start doing that kind of stuff, and that's some of what I'm doing. But there's a lot of makers out there doing exactly those kinds of things,
It's funny now. I'm remembering back when I was in the grammar school and Transformers were big, and how some kids would get GoBots as presents to the Transformers, and like they kept arguing with the other kids. No, they're the cousins of the Transformers, and like they said, no, they're not. And like getting
Well,
into, like,
yeah, exactly. They kind of were. They were kind of knockoffs. I thank you so much. Melissa Harris is building me up in the stream. She's talking about the custom figures that I do. If you guys are subscribing to me, or if you just want to go to my channel and look at some of my old videos, I did one where I showed some of my custom action figures. I made custom action figures of those of you that know that after 77, after all the Star Wars figures came out, again, they didn't know if there was going to be a sequel. So when the holiday special came out, they had a whole line of action figures planned specifically to go with the holiday special. That's where Boba Fett came from. Mala, Itchy, Lumpy, and there was a couple others that they had planned that never made it to market. The only one that actually made it to market was Boba Fett. So what I did was I went and I did exactly what they did with the prototypes. The prototype for Itchy and Mala was just a repainted Chewbacca figure, and they put Wookiee boobs on Mala. So basically I did the same thing, with the exception that for my Mala, I sewed a cloth goods apron for her that actually looks really, really good. I remember that. My Itchy looks okay, but Itchy needs to have a cane, so I gave him a reproduction Emperor's cane. And I decided that as good as it was, there's a much, much better custom figure that's put out by Trash Compactor. Trash Compactor, is it Trash Compactor Action Figures or Trash Compactor Customs? They are on Etsy, and they do resin custom figures, a whole bunch of stuff. Definitely worth checking out. And that's what I do. So I make a lot of custom figures of toys that should have been in another world, would have been, and I want them, so I'm making them, you know.
Cool. Because
as Michael French from Retro Blasters always says, the fans are doing the best work.
Especially with the Star Trek fan films, what I've seen, those are really impressive. So
Star Trek fan films, if you're interested in Star Trek fan films, I've been saying it all night. Go over to Max World Entertainment, check out his channel. But he just did a really good Star Wars fan film that got me looking back at Star Wars fan films again.
Yeah.
And let me tell you something. I rewatched Troops, right? Anyone who knows fan films knows of Troops, right? Bad droids, what you gonna do? Which led me to Bad Pilots. There is again, kind of like I was saying about Red Shirt Diaries, you know, it's a Rosencrantz and Guildenstern kind of thing, a tongue-in-cheek story of the Lower Decks characters. It's about three pilots, starting with, you know, basically the story of Star Wars, but from these pilots' point of view, seeing the events in a very Robot Chicken-esque kind of way. And it starts out with them doing the trench run. And at first you think this is just, you're seeing the trench run again from the point of view of the Imperial pilots. Turns out it's just a simulation, but then it leads to okay, we're done with our training mission. What do you guys want to do now? Well, I'm kind of hungry. You want to get something to eat? Yeah. I thought I'd go to Tashi Station and get some power converters. Oh, what flavor? It turns out the Tashi Station is actually a fast food restaurant.
Oh, that's funny.
And power converter is like a drink that comes in chocolate, vanilla, and so forth. No, I want to go. I kind of had a hankering for KFC. Oh, Kashik, what is it? Kashik furry cookies. I want something to eat first before we have dessert. You know, and it's just hysterical.
Oh,
and yeah, it's. What bothered me was when they get to Tashi Station, there's like some 70s parody music playing, and what was it? Sky Fighters in Flight,
Oh, that's funny.
Astromech Delight. And I'm like, oh my gosh, why didn't you guys do a video of just that song? You got to do a release version of that song.
Because of course that Star Wars 70s, yeah, those 70s haircuts they had in it.
That was it's brilliant. But yeah, I mean, fans are doing the best stuff, and no, I don't care if the special effects suck. I mean, it's doesn't matter. The story is there, and especially when it's a spoof and tongue in cheek.
Speaking of, a friend of mine had showed me a Star Wars Flash animation where they did the Jules and Vincent scene from Pulp Fiction, and the guy,
Which scene?
the first scene where they're in the apartment with the guys that they're about to hit,
Oh, okay.
and like they did the read the Bible scene, right? And
Yeah.
like you read the Bible, right, Brett? They're like, yes. Oh, okay. Pew pew.
Yeah.
They even do the Mia and Vincent scene too, but who played Vincent was Darth Maul, and
Oh,
I
that's
forgot
funny.
who played
You mean
Jules.
Ray Park?
Not the Ray Park, just
Oh,
it was
okay.
Flash animation. It was the right
Oh,
character.
gotcha. I see what you're saying. Okay.
Yeah. It showed me that like years ago. I lost contact with him. I wish I could find them again.
But yeah, I mean, it's that heart and spirit. I mean, we tend to think there is this idea that fan fiction is all bad, and it's not true. I mean, writing. Everyone has different talents and everyone has different levels of writing ability. And there are people out there that do fan fiction that, let's face it, they do the Mary Sue and it's painful and nobody wants to read it except the person that created it, right? And
Yes.
then there's some fan fiction out there that are like, my gosh, this is at least as good as anything we're seeing coming out of Hollywood, you know? Come on, just do this. And I don't know, guys. I just wish that we live in an era where the technology has come around so fast that people have not been fast enough to catch up. When I see some of the fan films out there in front of green screens doing CG and stuff that's better than what I'm seeing in Hollywood on bigger budgets, I'm going, there's a real problem in Hollywood. And Trey even mentioned it. There's the kids, I almost said Kids in the Hall. That's something else entirely. The Corridor Boys or whoever it is that do those videos where those guys that are fixing all the different CG scenes in Hollywood. And it's like, and these guys are doing it, with their own computers on their own, and it's like, come on, Hollywood, you're wasting your money on these huge budgets. There was a special effects guy who was talking, or maybe it was even Kamran Pasha, who was talking about the filming of, I don't remember what movie it was that he was working on, where a scene takes place in a bathtub, and the bathtub is like a bubble bath, right? And they had this big, expensive machine that made the bubbles for the scene, and the machine wasn't working. It broke. And they were on a time crunch and they were losing money just not being able to film the scene. And the director or somebody was like, well, we got to get the scene done. We got to make it happen. Hey, do you have the solution that you use for making the bubbles? Yeah, it's right here. We got tons of it. He goes, okay, fine. Poured it into the water. Hey, help me out here. And they agitate it with their hands. They make bubbles. And then goes, okay, get the scene. And it's like, it's not that difficult. We don't need this big, expensive machine. We just need to agitate the water, make the bubbles, just like a real person having a real bubble bath. Okay, just do the scene, And it's like, well, don't tell the union. Don't tell anybody. It's like, you've got so much bloat in here. You're wasting money. Okay. And then you hear about where did all the budget for this film go? This film cost millions and millions of dollars. Where did the other $5 million go? Well, you look at the budget for this actor, and you're like, well, were they really the best actor for the job? No, but they were under contract, and they're a big name, and they made the decision. Well, who was the best Superman? Who had ever heard of Christopher Reeve before the first Superman movie? Maybe go find the actor who's just out of school that knows how to act, that does a great job, that looks the role, and no one's ever heard of before, that you can get for scale, and make them a big name.
Yeah. No, I agree, and like I said, and we were kind of seeing that with the Marvel movies, because at least not with, with like, the Thor and Captain America. I mean, they weren't unknown,
right,
but they hadn't been given the really big parts yet,
And well, let's face it, even Robert Downey Jr., let's face it, okay?
He'd been in the outs for a while.
He'd been on the outs for a long time. He was a big risk.
Yeah.
I mean, that's something that a lot of people aren't talking about these days, but they took a risk bringing him in. And yes, he was a known talent, but he was also a known risk. So, so you can draw some comparisons there.
That's
too.
a success story that somebody could really glean from.
Exactly.
That somebody can actually clean up their act and continue to maintain it.
Yeah, he was kind of the comeback kid. I remember when that was happening. I was like, wow, he really, because we were terrified of him for a while. He was saying how he made a reference to his problem, and he was saying, like, it feels like I have a gun in my mouth and I like the taste of the gunmetal. Okay. Wow. And that's how deep it went. But he took care of it, and I give him full on points for that.
And talk about, we said this when he was first cast, talk about playing to type, right? Because he's playing a guy who, was wealthy, well respected, and everything, had a drinking problem. Now, he had more problems than drinking problem, but Tony Stark, big arc for his character was his drinking problem.
Oh, yeah.
Have you guys have all seen Robot Chicken, right? Mm-hmm. Robot Chicken was directly influenced by a periodical called, it was in Toy Fair magazine. It was a series called Twisted Toy Fair Theater. It was originally called Twisted Mego Theater. And that's where that whole concept of, stories told with Mego action figures came from. It was in a magazine, so it was literally just stills told in the comic book style, and they used the action figures posed to get the pictures. And there's some great ones of, the kids going to the different superheroes' houses, trick-or-treating for Halloween, and Tony Stark answering the door and throwing up in their bag. And that ended up making it into, I believe, a Robot Chicken sketch.
Oh, that's funny. All right, Troy, I got to head out. I got to head on out. Thank you for having me on, but I will see you Sunday, okay? And maybe I can't promise about tomorrow night, but we'll see, okay? All right.
Absolutely, man. Right. Absolutely. We'll make sure that we get you the link so that you can join in. But yeah, Addams Family tomorrow night. For those of you that we're doing a watch party, and the way the watch parties work is you queue up your own DVD or streaming service. We'll all start it together and watch it together, do a little commentary over on Netter's Network. Okay.
Very cool.
And then Sunday night over on Aged Boomer's channel, 8:00 Central Time, we'll be filling you with the week's worth of geek news. The week in review, so to speak.
What about Matthew Flynn on Sunday morning?
Oh yeah. Well, but I'm not ending the stream right now. I'm just
yeah. Oh, did Wolf 10 leave?
I guess he did.
He did just drop out. I don't think that was intentional.
Maybe he lost his connection. Listen, though, it was cool hanging out. I'll see you later. But
you take care. Thanks so much for jumping in here and hanging out with us, Boomer. And we'll basically be picking up some of the Kathleen Kennedy stuff, I'm sure, on Sunday. But we have a lot to talk about.
Sure thing. Catch you later.
Take care, my friend. Bye-bye.
Bye.
And we're not ending the stream just yet, everybody. So stay with us. I'm hoping that we get Wolfie back. I'm sorry that you dropped out, Wolfie. But It wasn't our intent to end the stream, but yeah, I know how things go when your connection fails you. Did want to touch on one thing. This is probably not going to make it into our notes for Sunday, but Melissa Harris just brought something to my attention. I guess there's another actor that nobody knows by name out there shooting his mouth off and you know, saying outrageous things. An actor by the name of Tony Moran. I guess he was the actor who played the unmasked Michael Myers in the 78 Halloween. He's saying a bunch of crap about Carpenter and his coworkers, and I don't know, just saying a bunch of crap. You know what? Wolfie said his power cut out and he's using his phone to send a message. Wolfie, that's okay. We were so glad you could join us as long as you did. If you can follow along with the stream, hang out with us, that's great. You know, super appreciate you. But yeah, I mean, you get these I'm sorry, they're prima donnas, right? You go into acting. There's a certain amount of performance. You like being in front of an audience. You like the attention. You have to do this, right? And I don't care if it's if you're a YouTube streamer or an actor in movies, you're up on stage, whatever. You know, you do it because you want a little bit of attention, right? Okay, fine. I'll own that. But it becomes a drug to some people. You know, and if they're not getting the roles, if they're not, you know, getting the notoriety, if they're not being recognized at conventions and whatnot, they employ tactics that aren't always the most savory, right? And so they say something outrageous and they get a little bit of attention, you know, another 15 minutes of fame. And I think it's kind of despicable. Okay. If you are talented, you don't need to work so hard. You just do your talent and people will love you for what you do. Okay. You don't have to go with a Kardashian kind of mindset to get attention. Just do your job and do it well, you know. And we say this all the time too, behind the scenes in movies. Okay. You know, you watch those credits and you see all those names. Some of those jobs, you don't even know what they are. Do you know what a dolly grip is? Do you know what a key grip is? Do you know what the best boy does? You know, actually, I only know what 2 of those 3 do. But the fact is, their jobs are very important and you don't think about them as you watch the movie. So what do we say about the best special effects? The best special effects are the ones you don't even realize are special effects. Everybody, you know, thinks that the CG in Jurassic Park was so good. What you don't realize is that a lot of those scenes that you think are CG are animatronics and puppets and you know practical effects that trick you. When they do their job well, you never even notice that they've done a job. You don't even notice, right? And sometimes the actors in the background, sometimes the stand-in does a performance that you don't even notice consciously, but they still provide something to the ambiance that's so crucial. It's so important. I even have, there's a couple movies that I've watched many times, didn't even realize that a buddy of mine was in the background in a bunch of those scenes. The movie The Fugitive with Harrison Ford, right? There's a scene that takes place in a hospital and he needs to, like, I think he's trying to escape from the cops and he puts on some hospital scrubs and, you know, slips past somebody. Well, there's I don't know if he's an orderly or a doctor or a nurse or something in the background that you don't even notice. And I've seen the movie so many times, didn't even notice. He was a guy I went to high school with. His face is very clearly on the screen. Don't even notice him until my buddy pointed out, oh yeah, that's me. and he shows me like a screen capture, and I'm like, holy crap, that is you.
That's just it. You're not supposed to notice the extras
Exactly.
unless they want you to stand out.
Yeah, Nanette has done extra work. She's very prominently seen in a couple shots of Poltergeist 3.
And the reason I'm so prominent in that is because the fellow that had been in the spot where I was standing was wearing a bright yellow shirt or jacket. And they're like, no, you stand out too much. And they snatched him out and pushed me in.
Yeah. And, I mean, when you are looking for her, I mean, she's standing right behind Karen Allen, in one scene. You can't help but see her in the shot. But if you don't know it's Nanette, you're not gonna notice. You're not
short, dark hair.
Yeah. It doesn't look anything like the long blonde hair that she normally has. But yeah, I mean, so honestly, are you trying to do a good job? Are you trying to be part of the ensemble and put together good art, or is it about you? I think that's what it comes down to. And I think for good or for bad, I think Hollywood does attract people that it's about them, and they want to be the star, and they want to be focused on, and they want the attention. And I'm not saying that's a bad thing. I'm just saying that maybe the projects you've been working on are not the right ones for you then. I'm just saying. But I think there is a lot of that, even behind the scenes too. A lot of the things we were talking about with Kathleen Kennedy, and we could talk about with J.J. Abrams and Alec Kurtzman and all these other people. They say these things in unguarded moments that kind of show you where they're coming from, where they're like, yeah, that's Star Trek, that's Star Wars, that's whatever. But this is about my thing now, I think the worst was Ryan Johnson, right? It's not about, Star Wars. It's about my movie. Okay, fine. And Mark Hamill, you've even seen the convention footage of him where, he kind of says what, he kind of, with Ryan Johnson sitting right there, he quotes him and he goes, no, it's about our movie. And everyone claps, but they clap kind of a little confused what they mean. And Mark just kind of throws up his hands like, you guys just don't get it. And here we are, 10 years down the line, and we see very clearly what Mark was trying to warn us about. Really was, Samuel Proctor is talking about Ray Harryhausen, and stop motion. I've always been one to say stop motion has to say. There's a YouTuber on here that shows, he does little computer tricks with footage, and he's like, what if King Kong and what if these Harryhausen films were at a higher shutter speed, and they look much smoother, but I kind of feel like they lose some of their character when you do that. You can make the shutter speed faster, you can make the CG look smoother, but I always said that for certain things like the statues that come to life, the skeletons that come to life in those CG films, the jerkiness of them works, right? Think about some of the horror films. You think of Samara from The Ring and whatnot. She looks very unnatural because they use a technique where they film the actress in reverse. She's walking backwards and she's crawling into the TV backwards and stuff. It looks very unnatural, very, very off-putting. And that's a good thing. That's intentional, It's a similar technique that David Lynch did in Twin Peaks. He films all of those dream sequences backwards, and you have Michael Anderson, the little man from another place, speaking phonetically backwards so that when the scene is played forwards, you can understand what he's saying, but it sounds very stilted and very off. His dialogue you can understand very clearly without the subtitles, but he had to coach Cheryl Lee, and hers don't sound quite as good. She wasn't quite as talented as speaking backwards phonetically, and it's a talent that you develop that Michael Anderson just happened to have. He just a little quirky thing that he developed, and he's like, oh yeah, I can do that. And so he helped the other actors to be able to do that. You know, they could have done those scenes straight forward, just said the words. It wouldn't have had that same quality, right? Same thing when you see things with a strobe light on it, that very unnatural effect where everything is jarring and stilted. You know, that's what was that? Hell, I could Sci-Fi Nation says, hell, I can hardly speak forwards the right way. Yeah, I mean, I saw a video where Mikey was talking about how to speak phonetically backwards. And it's not as simple as, you know, writing something backwards and pronouncing it the way you would read it backwards. Like, my name is Troy. If I were to read that backwards, it would be Yort. But you have to break down phonetically how a T sound is made and an R and the OY put together, what it sounds like. If you almost have to listen to it in an audio recorder backwards and then try to make those sounds, you know. What does Troy sound? Is it Yort? Is that exactly the how is a T sound? A T sound doesn't sound the same forwards and backwards, even though it's just a T. How do you draw in your breath on the T? Yeah, it's very, very difficult to do if you're really paying attention. But yeah, I mean, it's kind of understanding the medium that you're working with. It's understanding sound. It's understanding movement. There is a scene in the movie Solaris, the remake, with what's his name? The last guy that played Batman in the Schumacher films. Help me out here. He used to be an ER. Good looking guy. Can't remember his name. Anyway, Solaris. The basic story is a guy comes to a space station where some people have gotten killed, and he thinks it's some kind of a space madness. And he turns out that the planet that they're, or the star or whatever, is sentient, and it's trying to communicate to them. And it's trying to communicate to them by bringing their thoughts to life and using, you know, people from their memories to speak through.
George Clooney?
George Clooney. Thank you, sweetie. Yes. And Sci-Fi Nation, thank you, sweetie, for helping me out with that. Yeah, George Clooney. George Clooney's character encounters his wife who's dead. And so he realizes that this is not really his wife. This is a construct, an alien, hallucination or whatever. And there's this one scene where he gives her like a sleeping pill or something like that. Or maybe it was an aspirin. I don't remember. And she lays down to go to sleep, and she kind of goes into this weird kind of convulsion. And what's very interesting is it's a scene where the convulsion is done by filming her, you know, going into these motions, but it's filmed backwards. So in order for it to look as off-putting as possible, the scene of him sitting down next to her, like walking over to her and sitting down next to her, was also filmed backwards, but his motions had to be as fluid as possible so that he didn't look weird. And it's very well done. And he talks about it in the audio commentary or the DVD extras or something like that. He talks about, it was very strange to think through the motions that you're making and being able to make them look fluid backwards is basically what it comes down to. He had to be sitting next to her and then get up and step away from her backwards and do it in such a way that when the film was played forward, it looked like he was walking over to her and sitting down. He said it took a long time just to get that little minute and a half of footage, As a side note, an interesting thing, she takes the pills from him and she takes a drink of water and then puts the pill in her mouth. And he said he joked her. He says, "Is that how aliens take a pill? They kind of do it backwards. You take a drink and then you take the pill." And she's like, "What do you mean? That's how I've always taken pills." that part of it wasn't, acting. It was just she was just taking a pill, and it's just she takes it in a slightly quirky way from the point of view of some other people. So they're like, "Oh, you know what? It works. That's fine." Anyway, yeah, I'm a big one for sometimes on your favorite films. Check out the DVD extras and the audio commentaries. Sometimes it's a bunch of crap, but sometimes there's some real gems in there that give you some real insight into how these movies are made and whatnot. George Clooney has a new movie on Netflix. It's sci-fi and it's called The Midnight Sky. I watched it tonight and I recommend it. There you go. I'll tell you, there is still something to be said for word of mouth, right? And word of mouth is sometimes through social media. Sometimes it's this kind of interaction. Well, I guess this is social media, right? But this is still how word of mouth works, right? Someone sees something. Maybe you've never heard of it. Maybe nobody's heard of it, but people that that whose opinions you respect, they'll set you wise. I told you a couple weeks ago the story of it was over on Mr. Matchstick's channel on his Cultural Fortress. I was talking about how I came to Firefly. It was after the movie, after the show had gone off the air, and a couple people had recommended it to me, and somebody loaned me their DVDs and said, "Here, check this out." And I was like, "Oh my gosh, this is awesome." And that's how a lot of people have come to a lot of shows after they've ended, by checking out the DVDs because somebody recommended it to them. And that's honestly how some of these things end up getting revivals and whatnot. Yeah, Sci-Fi Nation, I knew what you meant. I mean, it's in your name, sci-fi. I knew what you were talking about. But yeah, was in the Solaris remake unless they made yet another version. Okay, so the George Clooney Solaris was actually a remake of a Russian film. If you hadn't known that, you might want to, look for the old one. Just like 12 Monkeys is a remake of a foreign language short film called, I believe it's called La Jetée, which I believe is French for something like the pier or the dock or something like that. And I do this. When I find out that a movie that I like is actually a remake of something else, I will seek out that source material and look into it. Another film that I highly recommend, believe it or not, it's a Tom Cruise film. Tom Cruise tends to be in some really good movies. Whether you like the guy or not, he's in some really good movies. He was in a movie called I think it was called Open Your Eyes. Was that no, I'm sorry. It was called Vanilla Sky. I never can remember that name because it doesn't make a lot of sense, but it is a remake of a Spanish language film called Abran los Ojos. That's why I remember. And that line is important in the movie. It's repeated over and over. Open your eyes, open your eyes. And it's about somebody who is in a virtual reality situation, doesn't realize it. And people on the outside are trying to help him wake up. Great movie, but honestly, I feel like the original is better in Spanish. Yes, Sci-Fi Nation, Vanilla Sky is a remake. Penelope Cruz was the female lead in that. She plays the female lead in the original as well. Okay, she's in both movies. She plays the same role. So I do recommend, if you can find, I don't know where it is, if it's streaming somewhere or get the DVD. I'll tell you what, if I recommend something, usually we're talking about a DVD that's $10 or less. It's worth it. Get the DVD, check it out, and put it on your shelf next to Vanilla Sky. It's called Abran los Ojos, and it's a lower budget film. Right. Okay. So whereas there was some special effects work done in Vanilla Sky, that's not in the original. And personally, I think it's better. And the way they deal with the mask and the, whatnot, very much more low tech in the original. And I think it's better in a lot of ways. Yeah. And you know what, Sci-Fi Nation, I'd appreciate it if when you do, let me know what you think about it. Shoot me an email or, even come back to this video and put something in the comments or, you should give me a shout out, in one of Max World Entertainment's, streams when we're, watching something. Hey, Troy, I saw, Abran los Ojos, and let me tell you what I thought. You're a goof. You don't know what you're talking about. Whatever. That's fine. You don't have to like it just because I do, but I encourage you to check these things out because there's some really, really good stuff out there. If you like a remake, sometimes the original is even better. Like I said, that 12 Monkeys is a noodle scrambler because it's a Terry Gilliam film, as you would expect it to be. Good stuff, but the original is really just like a 15-minute, 20-minute short film. Very kind of avant-garde, very in black and white, as I recall, all in French. It's almost a narrated story. It's a very different kind of thing. Very moody, worth checking out. Very, very interesting. I'm trying to think. I know there's lots of other films, and I'll in future streams I'll probably talk about some of them. But yeah, I mean, and even sometimes to look at tropes of films and try to look at what is this based on. I've always argued that and people have said this many times, My Fair Lady, very much a modern retelling of Pygmalion, right? So, knowing sometimes where something, 12 Monkeys was another. No, 12 Monkeys was with Bruce Willis, actually. He was the star. And then they did a sci-fi series based on it where they did a gender swap of the Brad Pitt character. And let me tell you something. Brad Pitt's character is a perfect example of somebody whose gender does not matter in the slightest. So the girl that played that role was brilliant. She was probably the best thing about that show. Yes, 1967's My Fair Lady is a modern retelling of Pygmalion. Absolutely. Yeah, I'm kind of blowing Sci-Fi Nation's mind tonight, right? With what is, and it's not a remake. It's taking the essence of a story and using it to retell it, right? Like West Side Story being a modern dress version of Romeo and Juliet, right? It's not a direct retelling, but essentially that's what it is. Yeah, Brad Pitt, right? Brad Pitt, I thought was brilliant in 12 Monkeys. He plays a nut really, really well.
Because he plays a nut really, really well in life.
Well, yeah, maybe. But he's, what was the movie he played where he plays opposite? Was it Mr. and Mrs. Smith with Angelina Jolie?
Yeah.
I mean, he plays a leading man type of spy pretty well too. That's good acting, right? But I literally watched it while I fell asleep the other night. What? 12 Monkeys? That one's gonna lead you to, depending on when you fall asleep during that movie, it's gonna cause you to have some pretty weird dreams, man. But yeah. Well, you know what? Oh, My Fair Lady. Yeah. See, that's yeah, that one I could see. If you're a little drowsy, some of those musical pieces can kind of put you out. We were talking as I was talking with Sir Torin before the stream actually started. We were typing back and forth a little bit. He was talking about wanting to see a good Hollywood adaptation of Aida. And I said, musicals, modern musicals don't translate very well. They should be pretty straightforward if you went under the old model. If you look back at the Music Man and I don't know, Oklahoma and some of those classic musicals and how they were turned into Hollywood films. They were somebody who took the essence of what it was and translated it for the medium, right? Even the purest of them is the 92 or 96? I can't remember. Cats, which was basically just filming the musical, the stage performance, with multiple cameras and adding a few special effects and probably doing multiple takes to get like good close-ups and whatnot.
Don't watch the new one.
Yeah. If you want to see Cats, see the original with the original is the way to go. Definitely. The remake didn't work. Even Les Miserables, you're better off watching the Dreamcast live recording than that the film that they did. It could have been good, but they just didn't understand music. They didn't understand musicals, and they didn't understand how actors and orchestras work together. That was a nightmare. And you know what? It shows, because it just got worse when they went to it was the same director, I believe. And just all kinds of no. The only Evita I never saw the Madonna version of Evita. So I can't really speak to that. Madonna is a good singer, so she might have been able to play the role right. And she's definitely got those Latin features that I think, lend itself really well to the character. So it'd be interesting. I'd have to check that out. So I'm talking specifically about Les Miserables, the musical. So, the film version I'm referring to is the one with Hugh Jackman and Catwoman, what's her name?
Hathaway.
Anne Hathaway, right, exactly. It was visually very good, but the music wasn't, which hurts me so badly because both Hugh Jackman and Anne Hathaway are such good singers. They did a duet from Les Miserables in a live performance, and it was just beautiful. And I'm like, why couldn't we have gotten that in the movie? Well, the reason we didn't get it in the movie was because the director was a dingbat and he worked them 12-hour days, and the takes he used were the last ones of the day where their voices were like this and from singing all day, and it just sounds terrible, you know. When Anne Hathaway does I Dreamed a Dream, there is a difference between the acting that goes into crying, you know, ugly crying, and what a musician, a singer does when they cry. Okay. You still need to sound good singing. You don't want to hear the snots and the, you know, hacking and the raspy voice when you're singing. Okay. And honestly, I think there's that scene where she's crying and you see the eyes puffy is fine, but then you might have to maybe dub the singing, okay, in post. And that's not a failure. That's the best of both worlds, you know? And I don't know. I've heard people say that I can't remember any of the actors today. The one who played Master and Commander, the one who plays Javert in Les Miserables. Oh gosh.
Okay, I can't help.
I gotta look him up. Master and Commander. What's his name? Russell Crowe. Thank you. I've heard people say he can actually sing, but nothing in Les Miserables leads me to believe that he should ever have been trying to sing the role of Javert. That was just, there was not a single note that he hit in that movie that was anywhere close to right. Just saying, you know. I mean, I have performed Javert, you know, in karaoke, and I think I've done better, you know.
Well, like you pointed out, they're usually the last takes of the day where they sound horrible.
Yeah. And there's the way an artist performs on stage, their voice is rested after many performances of practice, and they follow the orchestra. And in this movie, they wanted the orchestra to follow the singers, and they had the orchestra, you know, on stage, you know, playing. I've seen, you know, commentaries by professional musicians that have picked that movie apart and gone, no. And look, I've performed in musicals myself. I haven't done it since the 80s. I don't have the voice to do it now, but I know what goes into a performance, and it just hurts my heart when I see Hollywood, you know, destroy stuff that way. It's terrible. Sci-Fi Nation says, I can't sing sober. I need at least a couple drinks just to relax. And I'm too uptight to do karaoke. Nanette and I, when we were dating, we used to go to karaoke every week. And that is how I started too. I got a drink in or two in me before I would relax enough. But then as I got better at it and felt relaxed about not really giving a flying frack about what people thought, and was completely comfortable in front of an audience, and understood that just because I like a song doesn't mean I should be singing the song. Some songs are in my range and some are not, right? I wish if I was going to do, a song from Les Miserables, I wish I could do Bring Him Home, but I cannot hit those high notes. I would just do such a disservice to that song. But I could do Javert's Stars. That is definitely in my range. And I can hold that note at the end like a boss. You just got to know what your limitations are. That being said, that doesn't mean I could play the role of Javert, because I could not do the confrontation. I cannot sing low enough to sing. I'm going to give it a try, and it's going to sound terrible. Valjean, at last we see each other plain. Monsieur le Maire, you'll wear a different chain. See, I cannot go as low as you need to go.
Because you're not a bass.
I am
You're
not a
tenor.
bass. I am a baritone. So I know I cannot go as deeply as I need to. If I practiced, I could. I could learn to sing those notes, but you got to put the time in. And I'm just not a professional singer any longer. Well, I was never a professional singer, but I have done professional theater. Let me be clear on that. Okay. When I say I've done professional theater and I've done musical theater, I did not get cast in singing roles. I just realized I may have misled you in that. My first professional role in theater was in The Music Man, but I did not sing. I was in the ensemble and I played the trombone. And interestingly enough, when you play in the boys' band in The Music Man, you have to learn to play the minuet in G off key. So you are literally learning it in the wrong key, using the wrong notes. It's challenging. It really is to play purposely bad. It's really, really tough. Weird. I can go from Space Hog to Dwight Yoakam to Johnny Cash, but those are songs I know. Yeah. And I do Dwight Yoakam tunes. I do Johnny Cash. I do Elvis. I do the Eagles. Those are all pretty well in my wheelhouse when I do karaoke. But yeah, when I get liquored up enough, I'll do Dean Martin, and I'll usually do that at the beginning and the end of this stream, but not doing him any justice, and I know that.
Just don't sing the Kathleen Kennedy song again, please.
Yeah, that was pretty terrible, wasn't
No,
it?
I had to hear you rehearsing that. No.
Yeah. Poor Netter, she has to listen to the rehearsal. Yeah, and everyone that actually heard me at the beginning of the show was like, he actually rehearsed that? And it still sounded like that?
No,
Oh my
what everyone was
gosh.
saying at the beginning of the stream was, what the fuck?
Yeah, probably, because unless you know the song Kathleen, you don't know where that's going. But yeah, that's it. And you know what, guys? I'm just looking, and it's tomorrow already. It is now Saturday, Central Time Zone. And I think it's about time that I wrap it up. I had a lot of fun tonight with all of you guys. It was great hanging out with you. I'm so glad that Boomer and Wolfie, and especially Trey from Max World Entertainment. Oh, that was awesome to be able to finally talk to him, directly. I think that was the first time he actually heard my voice, unless he'd listened to, one of my previous streams or whatnot. So appreciative of all of those of you that came over from Max World tonight to hang out with me. I am not the happy, bubbly, positive kind of guy that Mac is. Mac is Trey, right? But Max World Entertainment. I am not that positive. I do bash a little bit. I am critical of the things I don't like, but I do try to be positive. I do try to enjoy the things that I love, and I share them as much as I can with you guys. And what I really, really enjoy is just hanging out with you guys, spending a little time, talking about the things we love, maybe bemoaning a little bit of the things that we don't like. And, it's like he says, you know, you guys are friends, but you're like, you know, friends are really the family that you choose, you know, and you guys are like family that I've chosen to hang out with on my Friday nights, and I super appreciate you all being here. Tomorrow night, you want to hang out some more, it's over on Netter's Network. Nanette is hosting with Big Al of Big Al Presents a rewatch of the Addams Family. That's Raul Julia and Angelica Houston. The first one, not necessarily the better one, but we've already done the Addams Family Values for Thanksgiving, so she's going to be going back and doing the first one. Love that movie. And
Troy's also co-hosting.
yeah, I mean, I'll be there too, but you know, just saying. I mean, it's really their show. I'm just the guest host, right? And Sunday morning over on Matthew Flynn's channel, Nanette and I will be talking about having watched the fourth season of Ben 10, and get his take on it as he shepherds us through that. Sunday evening over on Aged Boomer's channel, we will be talking about on Geeky Geezers, we will be talking about the week in geek news starting at 8 Central. And let's see, on Tuesday you can see me again over on Mr. Matchstick's channel for his Cultural Fortress, where I will be talking about
Fortresses.
yeah, I forgot what it is what my topic is, so I got to look back at the thumbnail. I will be talking about the comedy cartoon Archer.
And that's how you get ants.
And that's how you get ants. That's right. And I don't know who's talking about what, but it looks like they're going to be talking about Mask of the Phantasm and Robot Chicken, and Wolfie's talking about some anime, something or other. I don't know what that is, but it'll be fun. Yeah, Geeky Geezers. You know, it's funny. We just recently found out that there's another YouTube channel called Geeky Geezers, but they haven't posted in like 4 years, and they've only got a handful of videos up, and I haven't even seen what they're doing. But yeah, Geeky Geezers, and it's about a 2-hour show, and then what he'll do is he'll take each of the individual segments and he'll put them up on Rumble so that you can see them like one at a time. Not all of them. I say all of them, but I really mean like some of them when he's got time as best he can, because, you know, like me, he's got a real job. Speaking of which, I am never going to ever get monetized. I realize that even if I ever get to 1,000 subscribers, I think my content is just not monetizable. And I'm not too concerned about that. But if you really do want to buy me a drink, if you want to buy Nanette a drink, the link is in the description. If you just want to make a contribution, you're under no obligation. You don't have to. But if you feel like it, certainly would appreciate it. And that's it for tonight, guys. Thank you so much for hanging out with us. Hope you have a great rest of your weekend. The weekend is still ahead of us. Take care. Love you all. Bye-bye, baby. Time to hit the road to dreamland. Don't cry, baby. It was divine, but the cuckoo has finally crowed. Time to hit the road. Take care, everyone. Good night.